blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are live, everybody. Welcome back to We Are Aquarius, which means that I'm Aquarius, and this guy, too, probably,
I never I
maybe,
never
I
put
don't
my
know.
lighting on.
I'm not
I never
sure.
put that lighting.
But
Whatever.
I want to say maybe
I
you are.
swear I only had
I don't know.
one beer. That was a 24 ounce, but it's one beer.
Even
I don't
one
know why I
beer.
look so red.
It was a 50,
Why I look so
it was a 56 ounce of pure alcohol, all grain,
It was
and
a
a little bit of
750
schnapps
milliliter.
with some gold
No.
chips in there.
No, I had a Mike's Hard Lemonade. I
Yeah.
don't usually like those sugary malt beverages.
I
Ooh,
just
how
want to
about it's
say
not
those
even a
that are
beer.
watching now or later, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you enjoy. We have a topic, and our topic is to talk about a topic. And what we're talking about today is we just,
You, you're not fooling anybody. Nobody is like, yeah, I understand.
we
Nobody
have
knows
a
what that
topic.
means.
The topic is about Brad knows the answer to that. So you can go ahead and fill
Bitching
you
and
in.
moaning, you said. You said bitching
I
and
did
moaning.
not say that at all. That's what you said. And I
You
was
def
like, that is just
you def
too
is definitely you. That was not it's not
that
a phrase I
that
typically
that
make
is
up on the spot.
that is not what I would say ever. Would never, never, and ever. Sometimes I might say that. On Tuesdays I say that, but not today. Not during one of
So
these
why does the
sessions here.
world want us to believe that there's aliens out there so much anymore? Like everyone
Well,
wants to shove aliens in our face everywhere. The the James Webb telescope. I said John. The James Webb telescope
John's
suddenly
James Webb
maybe finding
Telescope is finding
The
aliens.
John Jingleheimer Smith
John
Webb telescope.
Jingleheimer. John Jingleheimer.
It's not that funny,
Da,
but I
da,
get
da,
to
da,
laugh a
da,
lot harder at it.
I forget the rest of the stupid jingle,
E-
but yeah, it's part.
Either way, they found a planet that might definitely have aliens or something. All, Fox putting out
You know
the
what?
fact that is that Sam Adams?
No,
Oh,
maybe,
sorry.
maybe
Was
not.
it? It was Sam Adams. I
Maybe.
knew it. Yeah, you can't lie to me.
You know what? Even more important
There's
than that.
there's a lot of oranges, but I know Sam Adams orange. There's a hint of white in it.
Do aliens have their own Santa Claus? That's the more important question because now we're getting into some real topics. If they're
Listen,
just
Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying just a moment ago on my YouTube shorts how like if we were to teach a monkey multiplication, like we wouldn't, it wouldn't be able to understand it. He goes, and that's just the closest species to us. Imagine the next one above that. Oh yeah, it's pretty clear. It's nice. Good one.
what were you saying?
You got nice color eyes. I never really noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're nice. With that yellowish and bluish color
Yeah.
together. It's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, yeah, it's just it's mind-boggling. I mean, as a believer of like Jesus and the
Mhm.
Almighty God idea of like,
Mhm.
like there's a super like we know nothing. We know nothing. We're just a creation of matter. Like the creator of matter is like a whole
Matters.
different ballpark of intelligence.
The
Like
creator
we're
of
just under
matter
we're trying to
matters.
figure out right. We're trying to figure out right and
We
wrong.
don't
Like
matter, but only the creator of matter matters. 'Cause that's what
the
matters.
creator just indefinitely knows things.
Specifically.
I, and I just
At
it's
this
hard to
time,
fathom
right now.
because we got taste. It's hard to fathom. We get this
Mhm.
taste of creation. We have an imagination. Remember when I even said I was the whole thing about imagination.
I know.
That light turned off and it made my visual better. These neon lights suck in my house. Don't you ever
Hmm.
buy a house? Don't get like those neon bulbs. Just get some regular bulbs.
Neon bulbs? Never had those.
Like the long halogens out there.
Oh, the halogen, yeah. I thought you meant actual
Yeah,
like
yeah, they're
curvy neon
annoying. Oh,
stuff.
oh, back on. Guess it heard me talking shit.
Turn off.
If we had millions of viewers, someone would be a technician being like, "Here's your problem."
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah, well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
You're running too many amps through, and you know, simple $1,400 fix could solve that jiffy. I skipped the word "inna." I just fuck it.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about? You know, just super intelligence.
Super intelligence.
You know,
yes.
all right.
That's
We're
what we need to
also
talk about.
we're also finding out that, like, I mean, they just found. And I don't listen. Did you watch the YouTube documentary on the Homo Navaldi? I think it's Navaldi.
I thought you were going to say Home Alone. I was going to say yes to that.
They did the behind the scenes of Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. He was just scared all the time. Never was happy till the movie was over. Then he was happy. Then
Macaulay Culkin's a strange
probably
person.
when he met
I
Trump
feel like
too. I think he was happy when he met Trump, but other than that,
he did.
When he was a kid, when he got older, then
Oh
he was
yeah. You don't even know if he really met him. Those kind of movies, you don't even know if he really met him.
Yeah, he was probably
Weird to
just
think about.
one
It's
picture.
weird to think
one
about,
picture
but
there.
like
guy in a
weird.
toupee, you know.
That was a good scene that Trump was in that movie. What did he say? He was the parent, right?
He's like
dad or something.
he's
Dad
like,
of Richie Rich, right?
Did he say something like you really shouldn't be alone on Christmas or something like that, or was he?
No, it wasn't Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin was in Richie Rich. That was Richie Rich before Trump was in it. Trump was
That
never in
wasn't
Home Alone.
Richie Rich. That was Home Alone.
Yeah, it
too.
was.
That was Home Alone too. They never
Listen,
made a Richie
I don't
Rich.
remember Home Alone 2, but
Well, it was.
I mean, I know it's a movie, but I don't remember that movie at all. All I'm saying is I don't remember Trump ever in Home Alone. I remember him Richie Rich.
Because they edited him out. That is another one of those Mandela effects. It doesn't exist anymore. It used to.
Oh my
but
gosh,
it's not.
maybe it's you forget effect. Richie Rich, he called him and Trump was at the baseball game or something like that, and he's like, "What do you need?" or something. And he's like, buy it or write a blank check or something along the lines of like, just do it. Like, nah. Well, that did happen.
Nah.
No, well, I'm saying that did happen. Maybe you're recounting a different story. That's fine. My story did happen. There's no Mandela effect about it. It did happen.
If you say so.
It did.
If you say so.
I could
Then
probably.
okay.
I could look.
Sure.
I have a freaking phone right here.
I believe you. That's what I do. I believe things.
Trump in. I'm gonna type in the word R and it's probably gonna pop up. Oh well, there's a lot of things about his political world now.
Sam Adams. I will drink you now.
Oh my gosh, what has happened to Trump? You can't even see his videos when he's in Richie Rich anymore because he's so political. This is a sad world we live in.
I know.
Remember that commercial where he wanted to buy those kids? He's like, I'll buy them. Trump is a character.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, but these are all shorts. Maybe that's why.
So, what we are going to talk about today is watered down steroid milk. And Jesus. What does that even mean?
Dude, I type in Trump.
Why did we pick this
Richie
topic
Rich.
anyway?
I type in Trump and Richie Rich, and somehow a picture of Vladimir Putin in like a hot tub is over top of the video that I'm looking for of Trump in the movie Richie Rich. Trump in movie.
That's rich. That is rich.
There it is. Oh, his Little Rascals.
He was in Little Rascals.
Both off.
He was what?
I'm probably gonna get.
Bonesaw was from Spider-Man.
No, he was in Richie Rich too. This is bull. Oh yeah, no, but this was the scene I was thinking where she calls her dad. Yeah.
He's so proud of me. I'll win this race. Waldo, you're the best son money can buy. Thanks, Dad.
No, but
It's so heartwarming.
Ah, 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 ah. Guess what's second, though, on that list?
What?
It's in reverse for you.
Home Alone 2. Well, it's actually your right side.
Yeah. I'm not going to play it so they don't shut down our stream.
Yeah. Macaulay Culkin will get scared again. And, well, he might run away from his home now. Although I don't know if he has a home. Is he homeless? Is it ironic that Macaulay Culkin is homeless after all these years after being in Home Alone and needing to run away from his home? Now he's homeless again. Maybe he always just wanted to be homeless and run away from home, even in the movies. Just never could catch a break. I don't know.
That kid was asking for it, always trying to be home alone.
Yeah.
Like, he lured the dang burglars in. He's always like, oh, I'm alone. Whoop. Didn't mean to tell anybody.
He put a sign in his front yard. One of those big garage sale signs and marked on it, I'm home alone.
He made it so obvious.
Don't come in the front door.
Hey, Marv. Take the bait. You ever seen the movie Heavyweights? That's my favorite movie of all time.
No, never saw that.
Heavyweights with Ben Stiller. You know, it's one of those movies.
I think I saw Lightweights with Dan DeVito. It was kind of like that, movie. Probably, but it's a little on a smaller side.
I doubt it was the same. I doubt it was the same.
No, it was a short film.
Danny DeVito is a dog. I wish he wasn't a Democrat. Surprising that people like Danny DeVito are Democrats, you know?
I don't know.
Interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
He must really be sucking the teat somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But why? He's such a commodity. He's like Howard Stern. He would have been fine on his own. Why did he need to suck the teat? He must have no real self-confidence.
We came to the point here of what we were going to talk about with the milk thing, I think, right?
Sucking the teat.
Now we have to talk about Jesus.
You're talking about milk?
Yeah, we finished the conversation about the milk part. Now we got to talk about Jesus now. So let's do that. Let's get serious, bro. Enough screwing around. Well, I mean, we can if we want to, but... No, honestly, what we were going to talk about earlier today was complaining about, like... I don't know. Just, like, I've noticed a lot of, like, I do
People
a lot of...
the world, Ed.
I do a lot of work. And when I do work and I'm working on something, whether it's my job or I'm just building something or something like that, I notice other people don't have ambition. They don't seem... It's like people
Billy
don't...
Madison.
How?
Billy Madison. Remember when she was, the third grade teacher was beating Miss Vaughn? She was beating Billy Madison up in the pool, and she was saying to him, do you just want to go throughout the rest of your life with like no ambitions? And
yeah,
because his friends were like, "What is she talking about?" And clearly, like, they're the people that she's referring to.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Rest in peace. I already forget his name. So sad. But you can tell me his name because you liked him more than
Adam Sandler.
What was his name? No. He always talked like this.
Norm
he always
Macdonald?
had a comedic Norm Macdonald. Yeah, Norm Macdonald and Billy Madison. That's two down now. Chris Farley and Norm Macdonald. Who's left? And Billy Madison.
Norm Macdonald was one of those guys that you don't really... It's sad, but you couldn't... you just always expected him to live a long life, you know? You never expected anything to happen to the guy. And then when he passes away, you're like, oh my gosh. He was one of the
Yeah.
best dry comedians there ever was. And he's gone. You
He
know?
was a comedian because he wasn't a comedian. That was what made him good, because he wasn't a comedian. He just tried to tell it like it was, and
Yeah, he
you
just
know.
said imaginary scenarios and just thought about crazy things and just said them, and it was funny, you know. Yeah, but like my point that was going on in my head, and it's been going on in my head this whole week, is like, I don't want to say it's younger generation, but I kind of have to say I wonder if it
Oh,
is. It's like,
but you
do
can't.
they have the
What can
ambitions
you?
that we had growing up? Do they care? Is it, are we, like you were saying earlier, like you did all these things and they're just like, yeah, you did it all. And then they don't get to do anything. Like, I'm doing stuff, even with fixing up my place and making a patio and stuff like that. And everybody else around me are just like, do they care, or are
Well,
they jealous of that, or do they not
I think
care? Or
I
it's
think
like,
the word
what
is
is,
complacent.
is
I
the world
think
just filled with so much laziness now that nobody really
it's not
gives to
laziness. It's not laziness though.
sense,
It's
you
not
know?
laziness. Because if you want something, you'll strive as hard as you need to strive to get it. That's the truth in today's society.
But I
But
don't
they're
see
complacent.
anything like that.
Now you see more and more workout videos where people are getting in shape. I mean, and it's true. Obesity is going down. There's no doubt about it. More and more people are choosing to be better in shape nowadays.
Hmm.
And it's really just because, well, the norm is that you're supposed to do this. So I'll have to at
Yeah.
least do that. And
Hmm.
it's, again, it's not necessarily about being lazy. It's about being complacent. Look,
The complacency
if a girl is going
explain
to
that
pick a
better.
guy who,
Yes.
if a girl is going to pick a guy who is good at, playing Minecraft and being more chill and laid back, and he's not really like a go-getter. If the girl likes that kind of guy, then that's popular, and more girls like those kind of, and that's the look. There was a time when the bigger woman was popular. The man went out because she was well fed. The man
Hmm.
was attracted to the more overweight of a woman. That was a beauty. There
Hmm.
was a time when a stick figure, and yeah, the stick figure was only in the United States. At that same time, I'm sure the Latino population still enjoyed curves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then those
Obviously.
then those curves, those same curves come over here. Nowadays, people will say that the curves are more popular in what's with a woman, and women are trying to do exercises to try to embellish those same ideals that men like and whatnot. And and it's not just for men, but for women. What they want to. There's a
Hmm.
standard. They want to look like what they think is the best. They think is the most in shape. Everybody wants to go. They want to be right about their strategy on how they're living their life.
Hmm.
My grandfather smoked a pipe until 96 years, well, not about 90 years old, 91 years old, and he
Hmm.
lived to 96. Obviously, the tobacco wasn't the problem, but you can't say that smoking cigarettes is good for you. It's a whole different ballpark of chemicals. It's a whole different world of smoking.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what my dad thought too, because for a long time he would smoke one of those little corncob pipes, you know.
Yeah,
And I guess he must have rolled his own tobacco when he was younger, but then later on he was just buying cigarettes. And when he was buying cigarettes, what they put into it was all kinds of metals and all kinds of everything you could imagine in
it's a
that.
whole different world.
And I
Uh,
noticed when I was around him, like when I was younger, my mom said I had asthma when I was younger. I don't have asthma, but when I was with him, he was never without a cigarette. Like a cigarette was in his hand all the time. He always told me like never start smoking because you'll get addicted. And he tried to quit. He never could quit. And eventually, it's what I think killed him because he looked like he was 80, even though he was only like 50. Like he looked super, super aged. And
but I don't
that
necessarily
was the
think
only addiction
tobacco's the
that I
problem.
knew that he had, you know. But
And again,
it might not be
what
like,
have they look at look at the marijuana plant. We went from people had like 3% THC in the marijuana plant. Now when you want to buy it, you know, regulated on, it's like 18 to 25%. I mean, you can get a little, maybe, okay, let's like 12%. It's a lot stronger than it was what people smoked in the 70s and 60s before they genetically modified it, of making it the best you can get it. You know, that's, I mean, I get it. I'm not saying that it wasn't, you know, but cultivists they don't want to make crappier plants. They don't want to say, oh, I want to keep it weak. They want to see how well they can grow the plant.
Everybody's, but it's like, that's what we're doing. We're trying to make it stronger, but why
but
do we need to make it so?
Tobacco's much the same way. That we originally started with these tobacco plants that grew wild, and people would kind of smoke something that was a little bit more, you know, just basic farm. Now with the chemicals and the seed strains and all, you've gotten these very strong tobacco plants that are probably much stronger in nicotine than they ever used to be. I mean, maybe I'm guessing, you know, but I'm just saying that, you know, that's what they want. They want to make, you know, these ideas. Of course, you can only have so much nicotine in a cigarette anyway. You're not allowed to, like, that's what I mean. And in order to do that, they probably have to extract the nicotine from the plant, which causes chemical agent, you know. It's all nonsense anymore.
Do you think it's more poisonous with the more THC that they put into it versus how it used to be?
Well, with marijuana?
I don't want to say, maybe I shouldn't say poisonous, but more, it could make you allergic to it because you're having too much of that chemical.
Well, I think the added amount of THC, it's not that THC is addictive, but I think that it just defeats the whole. I don't know.
You think they're focusing too much on one part of the plant, right?
At that point, why not just make a THC pill and just tell someone to take it every day, and not like the whole idea of getting high is just confusing. It's a drug.
You might want to come up here. My neighbor is constantly, you know, having tobacco or you know, marijuana or something all the time.
Well, like, I understand it's medical benefits, but
he says it's medical, but he's like out there all day.
Yeah,
10 to 10. Just doing it. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about you know, what Jesus was talking about and everything. I think what he was trying to do when he said, you know, he's going to level the mountains and stuff, what he meant was he wanted to teach us balance. And I think that's what he did. And I think I've realized that too with certain things. Even in my life, I've had to balance things out. I've been able to balance some things, you know. Do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, I think
it's just hard for me to understand any of it, because it's like I said before, you know, the world is literally just like a taste of what truth is.
Yeah.
And, you know, for that to be the reality, it just, I don't know, it makes me not even try anymore. You know, I want to do a good job in life. Well, it's just, we're not going to find some truthful enlightenment here. The answers aren't here.
You know, that's a funny thing, because it's like, it's so, I mean, you know what, you're right. This is why we love to that's why the most popular things out there are these fantastic stories that you see in politics. And most of them you can't even like confirm or say they were true. And even in stories, like everybody loves to go to an embellished story and read it and imagine it and think it's real. And we didn't I honestly wonder if the fallen angels and all that, we didn't come here to learn the truth. We came here to learn stories we make up. Because that's the most fantastic thing ever. What do you think Halloween? Why do you think kids love it so much? They love all these stories and, you know, all these things are happening. And it's like, we came here to learn about the not truths. You know, that was actually more important to most people. And it's, sad, but I don't know how you do anything about it. I have no
I
idea how
just
you like.
I just see life too much like it just doesn't make a difference at this point. I mean, I want to continue to try to teach the right thing, but the amount of evil and the amount of, everybody just, I mean, it's amazing how I'll see this, the love of money, is the root of all evil. And yeah, I could probably get the Bible verse exactly, but
Yeah.
online, so many people will always say money is the root of all evil. And we used to have that in old things. It's like we would always be like, not a real Christian. They don't know. Not the love of it's the love of money. We'd always have to correct them.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can actually correct them. Somebody says something, you can comment.
Yeah.
You don't have to just say it. You don't say it to a TV. You
Mm-hmm.
comment directly to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out how many more people say that. They're like, the love of money, that they keep saying. It's like, it's not. And you get into this deeper, and you start to think, you start to keep thinking about it. It's like, what is the love of money?
And I think I understand it now. It's the lust.
What is
the love
what
for
is,
the thing
what is money?
But money is the power behind the object, whatever object it could be.
I'll tell you what money is. You want to know what money is?
This beer has a certain amount of monetary
you want to know what money is?
Monetary value to it.
I'll tell you. You're wrong. I'll tell you what money is.
This has more.
I'm telling you. I know the answer to this. And
Okay.
this is like one of those YouTube short type clips.
Okay.
You ready? What is the love of money? The love of money. Well, what is money? What is money? Money is your ability to accomplish what you want. If you have enough money, you can accomplish just about anything you want.
Well, wouldn't that mean you've already accomplished it then? Your accomplishments? So you're in love, so it's pride of your accomplishments. Is that what you're saying?
The problem is if you love to accomplish what you want over other people, well, then you're destroying other people.
Oh, with greed. Selfish greed.
Money is how you make what you want, whether it be as small as a business to start. You might not love money then. If you're starting a business and you're just trying to make a living, you don't love money. You're just trying to live. That's not loving money. But if you're suddenly taking so much money that you're building some random 1 mile road down Mirror City in a thing, and everybody's poor, or you're creating these massive sculptures so you can be this amazing place, but everybody else is poor who doesn't. You're loving money. You're putting your ideas.
You're making
over
statues
other
of
people.
Yourself.
Right. Because that's how it's going to be. People remember, how did this country become because of this person? And the name gets represented, but only really because they loved money, because they took money over other people. They decided to do what they needed to do. Take the money to accomplish my goal, because my vision will help people later in the future. It's always something, but it never helps people later, because you die and the people take over your stuff and they control. They try to maintain control any way they can, because there's a lot of money there, and the leeches love money too. And that's just the way that it goes. But that's what money is. Your ability to accomplish things.
So it's a love
If
of
you
your
love that,
it's a love of your accomplishments.
the love of your own ambition.
The love of your own ambition. So it'd be pride. Essentially, pride. So the love of money is pride, and pride is the first 7 deadly sin, right?
That's why they say it, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's the point.
You know what? I
It's
think
just
I
that
think some of these things, and I wonder. Now, I'm just saying, I might be a little off, but esoterically speaking, I might be on when I say this. But I think some of these, maybe these older stories of Lucifer and stuff, might have just been an allegory for trying to basically say, like, what could happen to you. Pride is the first sin, the love of money. What we do in exchange for each other for goods and services is either with a dollar bill or it's done with a physical object. It has to be one way or another. Either way, that love of that
well,
accomplishment is
it
kind of
really
the first.
doesn't.
It's sort of the first.
People can just do things for the love of others.
You could, but when you come down to the money aspect of it or the goods and services part of it, then you're turning and you're doing it for just strictly selfish purposes. Then the first sin would be pride, and you know,
I
it
guess
just
the
makes me
thing is,
it makes me wonder about that actually when you're
it's
talking like
more
that.
along the lines. It's more along the lines of like people should try to recognize like why don't some people, and I think you get a lot of rich people, maybe they truly don't love money, but they are rich because they try to genuinely like say like, like how to get more money. They're trying to help you make more money. They don't want you just but the thing that I still fail to understand is you can teach people how to be an entrepreneur. You can teach people
Mm-hmm.
how to invest. You can teach people multiple ways to gain growth.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, you still need trash men.
Mm-hmm.
And if the trash man, who is a necessary job, is getting underpaid, then the system's broken regardless. It's not just trash men, factory workers. If we want to be able to go to a grocery store with full groceries and not look like Cuba, we need to be able to have factories producing goods to be able to put on shelves at a reasonable price where people will buy them. And I understand that some places will be like, they're horrible. I'm never getting them again. Everybody gave them a shot. They had regular growth for a year. Then they realized their growth dropped off. Nobody bought them anymore. They were gross.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. Somebody was not good. Maybe the truth is there's two options. They believe in something that's not good, or they're just trying to make a profit and they put out something and they hire a bunch of people and they're just pushed out for a profit. They don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, those, good products, you're seeing it more. If something's not good, people don't really keep buying it anymore. But like Cheez-Its, for example, they're a good product. Cheez-Its are delicious compared to a lot of the other brands of close to it style Cheez-It ideas, or along the even other cheesier. You can get into the goldfish aspect if you want of other cracker type. Cheez-Its are just they're very good tasting.
Mm-hmm.
They're good tasting. They're also incredibly more expensive than any of the other ideas along the same ideas, but they're the only ones with that greasy outside film practically. They even have like a burnt look on the outside that you start to wonder, is that even real? Like, is it real? Or are they somehow like just massively going through a spray to, like, is it just fake and it's flavoring added onto it in the look of,
I don't know. I think
who
they
knows?
put it through like a little toaster area really quickly, and then I don't know, they do something else to it. But you might be right. I don't have Cheez-Its that often anymore, really.
I mean, me neither, because they're more expensive typically. Because it's just, if
The
I
only
really
toasted
want,
Cheez-It I have is like Jack's Pizza, because it's really thin. And then it's got a little
I don't even know what that is.
What's a pizza? It's a really cheap pizza.
Regardless, I'm just trying to say that like these big like Doritos, people still buy Doritos on a regular basis. I don't think they're losing any kind of sales.
Yeah, they're not losing any
But
sleep off that.
But they've branched themselves out to a lot of different flavors and a lot of different brand.
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough world. You know, they like nobody just can make like a product and be happy. Like it gets too big. It's
Yeah,
like what? Oh, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's not that Doritos is so good
I always
that
like
of
that
course it would get
saying
big.
"too big to fail," and it's kind of true in that sense, because you get to those.
Do you think, which do you think it is? Do you think things like Doritos and McDonald's, give me one more that's just super popular. Skippy peanut butter. Do you think
Walmart.
that these companies are just so good and that's why they became popular because their ideas were was the McDonald's burger, because I'll be honest with you, I do enjoy a McDonald's burger. However, a grilled home cooked burger wins every time for me.
Hmm.
I will always, if somebody is saying, "Hey, I got McDonald's," and somebody else is saying, "Hey, I got home cooked grilled burgers," I will 100% of the time pick home cooked grilled burgers. 100% of the
That's
time.
because your body already knows that you need the real meat that's been cooked thoroughly, and it hasn't doesn't have a whole
Well,
bunch of other.
well,
But your body
McDonald's in the but
instinctively makes a choice for you.
McDonald's in the 50s probably was real meat. I
Oh,
mean,
I
what I'm
I
saying is,
I bet it
was the
was.
McDo- was the Mc was
I
it
mean,
just a combination?
probably.
The reality is that McDonald's was fast enough and good enough at the same time. It just met this quota of, it's like you would say, it's not lazy, it's complacent. Good enough and it's fast enough that, I'll accept it as, I'll go
I'll
there.
allow it.
And McDonald, yeah, I'll allow it. And McDonald's blew up because of it. But it created this idea that people, the bar got pushed.
Yeah, and that's
Now
the
if you
thing. That's the thing that I always complain about. The corporations are like, we just got to do just a little better this year. You always have to
because
do a little better this year, to the
if
point that you
we
literally break the bar, you go past the glass ceiling, and now you're
if we allow it for our kids see it as the norm.
you can. Here's
They
the thing: you can only
doesn't
go
it doesn't
so
matter.
high. You can only go so high. Everybody thinks there's no limit to anything, but you go so high. That's the whole point that other people bring up this Icarus situation. You
But
go so high, your
it
wings
doesn't
melt and
matter.
you fall.
It doesn't
It's the
matter
Lucifer thing.
if
It's
you
pride. Your pride, fall. You can only go so high until you got Taco Bell hospitals everywhere, and then they're treating you with just ridiculous treatments because they think, oh, we can make tacos. We can also do hospitals too. No, you don't. You can't. You can't do that. You
get the
cannot do
contract
that.
rolling. If the contract happens, they can.
But it's not going to be
We got we got
quality.
we got a we got a Starbucks in our hospital.
It's but there's a Starbucks hospital that they're going to build at some point where they're going to
We
treat
have a
you with
Starbucks.
coffee.
We have a Starbucks in our hospital.
And the treatment for most of your stuff is a coffee enema. No, thank you.
Well, I mean, that's not the reason it's there. People can buy things that are in the waiting, but
Well,
it's along the same lines
you
that
never really know.
I don't feel like hospitals should even have a department for making connections with. It's your fucking hospital. You don't need to be talking to Starbucks at all. You don't. You don't. I don't care if there's money to be made to make better technology and you can then do better for the page. I don't care. That is not the right way we go about it, because the money being made is getting paid to somebody who has to manage it, this relation, and that person is also going to be driven to have to also do better in other departments, because you can't just have, and it's a mess. It's all a mess.
You know what's going to happen?
Just focus on a hospital.
You know what's going to happen? At some point, the corporation's going to say that the Starbucks employee is about as valuable as a nurse at the hospital. So if the nurses are busy, the Starbucks employee might be ringed in to help take care of a dying patient. It'll be like, who the
Sorry,
hell are you? I work for
I
the
know I'm
same
making your
company.
chest
It's fine. It's fine. I know I'm just doing coffees and stuff, but I can put this needle in you real easily.
literally
And I
100 doctors and nurses talk to,
I guarantee you,
literally,
this will
the,
happen in our future, and we're going to be like,
the
what the
the
fuck?
doctors talk to me, okay?
You
Not
know?
just the nurses, the doctors. So you could almost say I'm at the level above a nurse, all right? I know
The
what I'm
doctors
doing.
are like,
Hold still.
just stop
It's not
shaking.
going to work if you don't. It's not going to work if you don't. He
If you don't stop screaming.
he has Parkinson's.
He has Parkinson's. He just needs more coffee. Let me give him a coffee enema. I've done this before.
I'm just
Pull
gonna
your
do what
pants
I'm good
down.
at.
And
Here's a croissant. Here's an espresso shot.
Dude, seriously, I'm joking and I'm not joking. This will
I'm
probably happen
going
in the
on a
future.
break.
Because they'll
Well,
both be,
Idiocracy continues.
they'll both be intertwined. And as soon as everybody else is on coffee break, so all the doctors and nurses are on coffee break, but guess who's not? The
Because
guy
they'll
that
keep
served
cutting
them
down
all.
staff.
And now
They'll keep cutting down staff. Cut down the staff. We got to make budgets.
this
Why?
is why
To
this,
compete. Why?
this is
To compete against the next person. Why are you competing against the next person on how to make more money? Because if we don't make more money, then they'll make more money and overtake us.
exactly.
And,
That's
and
why
it's
they
like,
showed.
well,
That's why they
just
showed it in
seems-
The Simpsons. That's why some of these things. He just had an idea for some of these things in The Simpsons. Taco Bell Hospital. It just got so popular that it created its own hospital. And then I'm just saying this stuff will happen because they're going to be so conjoined at the hip that legally wise, you are almost as good as a doctor or a nurse because you're working for the same guy in the same corporation. I'll be like, why is it? He's just over
It's
there.
just-
He knows how to walk you to your
Every-
room. I mean, he's right across the hall. I mean,
nurse becomes doctor, barista becomes nurse. They just gotta bump up the cycle.
exactly. For a barista nurse, like I'm your barista nurse today. Why are
It's
you
like,
juggling
ho, ho,
so
ho,
many
ho.
jobs? Because they fired everybody else. Now I have to serve the coffee and I
Okay,
have to do the
okay.
injections at the
Okay.
same time.
Okay, janitor becomes nurse, barista becomes janitor, and then if there's one more scale up, sometimes even like waiting room people.
The emergency
Like people-
taker who takes all the emergency phone calls is also taking the orders for the coffees. Same thing. Oh, sorry, you wanted it to go over here. Oh crap! I was talking to this
Just
other guy who was
passed over.
dying. Oh man. But did you want a grande or did you need a gurney? Wait. Who am I talking to again? It's one of you guys.
Grande or gurney.
You want a grande gurney?
If this topic was anywhat remotely funny, that would be funny. But
Oh, it'll be the way. When we're older, dude, it's going to just look ridiculous. It's going to be like, I thought this was a hospital, but it turned into a coffee shop in like a year. And I didn't even know it.
well, that's the reality because half the people in my city like go to the hospital because they're bored. Like, let me just be sick at the hospital and something's wrong with me. Yeah, we all know something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with everybody if you look for it.
I know. That's kind of true.
Filling up everybody's time. It's ridiculous. Everybody just wants to be sick.
Are we
Don't be
just...
sick.
Is that what happened with this whole generation with people? Everything's sort of watered down in a way, and like our generation has always been about, like the Xers have been about, like making sure we're always doing something, having something to be accomplished, and then the one below it are just other people that, in general, now is it just this time frame now? People are just turning into just being buckets of Jello, and they don't even care anymore? To that point that it just doesn't matter?
Like,
Are we that
everybody
lazy?
just wants to invest in the rich people to like make them retire at 45.
Yeah, it's like, let's give all our money to Elon Musk and all these other rich yahoos out there, like the freaking Amazon guy and all that. It's like, why don't you... He can't
Bozo.
solve all your problems for you, man. He's just one guy. It's like that's the thing. That's the thing I have to talk about. I have to say this. Jesus talked about that with us. We came here to help ourselves. Like when the woman touched Jesus's robe and Jesus was like, you thought about it, you're the one that's granting this, but it's like he pointed his fingers back to her. Everybody's looking to touch somebody else and gain their greatness or gain their power and do something. It's like you have to remember that it's the spark of Christ, the spark of love's inside of you. And I think a lot of people, I think we're living in this veil of forgetfulness where we just think we have to like, oh no, Elon's our God. We gotta, stand behind him and put our hand on his shoulder and he'll lead us in the, no, you gotta learn to do some shit for yourself. It's just, we're doing.
You should just be proud of life. Be proud of your life, your existence.
Yeah. You're
an anomaly. You're just an anomaly. We're an anomaly. Yeah. Everything exists. It's not just life that exists. It's the fact that life hasn't been wiped out for this long. And not just that life hasn't been wiped out for this long, but the random course of who we are. Having things like pianos and oil refineries and cars and, just cigars and alcohol and bread. I mean, all these things are just modern corn. There's nothing like it anywhere. I mean, if you were to find life in something else, yeah, they might have done other interesting, but there's nothing like this.
I keep hearing that too. It's like you're saying that because you feel that, and I also kind of feel that too. It's like this is here.
It's an anomaly.
This is here for us to use.
I doubt that any other universe I bet you money, if we were to go to any other planet in the world, we'll find carpets on other planets. They'll come into our planet and be like, carpets, and be like, this is crazy why would you do this?
Like they pour a liquid and it turns into like a little fuzzy thing and that's all they've got.
They're like, but it stains. You shouldn't walk on it with your shoes. Like I guess it feels good on like your feet, but like you walk around without shoes on, or socks on, or something. It's just all of it. Everything that we have is so. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain it. Beer. I mean, how we've taken beer and added so many different crazinesses to it. You could probably find a pomegranate beer if you look hard enough. You know what I mean? Like it's the iPhone. That'd
be my flavor,
the iPhone. Yeah, maybe the iPhone's a midway in the technology idea of holograms or putting things on, or even being able to see your hands with computers and but the iPhone is just such an interesting invention. And what does it have on it? These apps, and what are the apps? Like you could see it being an idea that maybe the iPhone is in other universes. Other alien technologies have something close to it. Mm-hmm. That's not but like just the ideas.
Yeah, it's even like even when I got into this place, I found so many things on the property buried or lying on the ground that I just thought I can create something out of this, and I decided to make something out of it that was never made before, just random materials. It's like I finally kind of understand, not wholly, but a little bit about why God did what He did. But however things are set up, He saw that He could take this thing and that thing and put it together and turn it into something really nice instead of it just being random garbage or junk laying around there. And I think, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch saying that, but in a way, I think He may have done some things like that. And I wonder if this planet is kind of like that. It's sort of like maybe a way to remember what the Father does so we can also learn how to find what's around us to create something beautiful. And I think what I've seen, and I guess what I've wanted to talk about this, especially with what we were saying right at the beginning, is like we've come to this stagnant point in our lives where I don't know if maybe I shouldn't say it's like the younger generation. Maybe it's just this time frame that a lot of people have just come to the point of going, meh, and they're not really. I mean, there's some people doing it, but it's like we're putting all of our hope in all these high, powerful, rich people to do it for us instead of doing it ourselves. That's why we're just like letting the AI launch off and do it for itself, so it can be the thing that creates. But then we're gonna get older and we're gonna feel so resentful, not to other people, but to ourselves for not actually trying to do something. It's that.
What is it you want to do? I mean, people were investing in Elon Musk because they think that he can help them learn to live to be 200.
200
I
to
don't
do
want to
what?
live to be 200.
They want to live
I
to
don't wanna live
200
to
to do
200.
what? If they're not doing anything, why do they want to live to 200?
I think the whole point of
Be entertained forever?
how long I live is actually poetic. We live just long enough to get one chance. Like, that's it. You get one chance.
Yep.
If you don't spend your day doing this, then your day is shot learning that. And that's the bottom line. If you choose every day what you want to do with it, and if you choose to do nothing, then that's what you've learned. You've learned nothing. And 365 days happen so many times a row, and before you realize it, you've made your decisions on who you are.
You're something or you're nothing.
If we were living to be 900, you better believe it'd be a lot easier to want to be like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, because you're going to live to be 900. I guarantee it's going to be like you're not going to. You know what I mean? Like, it's different if you know you're going to live a lot longer.
That's why I think, too, like, you and me think the same way as far as that's concerned. Like, and other people might not think that, like you might think, like, in the TV series Supernatural or something, like you go to heaven and you're just living a fantasy or something like that. I think we're in a whole nother reality doing more work. We're doing something else too. We're not just sitting on our ass staring at a TV screen all day, replaying the best moments. I mean, maybe there's some time for that. I think there's time for a lot of things, but I think we're doing more than we can even do here. But I think it's different in the sense that we don't have to worry too much about failure. Like here, that's why I think a lot of the time, you feel failure when that's why you see a lot of old people, and I don't want to say it's in a mean way, but a lot of old people go to church when they're older, and I think they do that because they feel regret, and they kind of want to pray to God to forgive them for their past or hope that there's something out. But maybe that's what Jesus was saying. Like, not everybody that cries Jesus is going to be accepted, because maybe you spent most of your life doing nothing and became nothing, and then realized that as an old age, and then wish you could do it all over again.
I guess in reality, people always talk about how amazing the universe is, the structure of it, and atoms, and how everything's put together, and we don't even quite understand it, and gravity and time. But I think what's even more amazing is how our brains are able to perceive it. Regardless of the fact that we don't understand how it works, we're still able to experience it.
Yeah, we put the concept in our mind, but we don't.
Our senses, our own 5 or 6 or whatever you want to say it is now. Like it's they're so limited, but yet we're able to perceive
an
idea of what is our own reality.
Sixth senses, ghosts.
Is it? I thought like temperature was like a sixth sense. Like you're able to
the movie The
temperature.
Sixth Sense was about ghosts.
And beyond that,
But
like,
it could
dude,
be. It
beyond
could
that,
literally be that. I mean, it could be.
beyond that, I feel like we have like senses. Like we have the ability to sense time because there's times when I can be like, I want to wake up at like 3 in the morning or something, and I will.
Mm-hmm.
Like exactly on the dot of 3 in the morning. Like you just know.
I do that too.
You
Well, I
you have the
don't say
sense of
3 in
it.
the morning, but like if I say I need to wake up at 6:30 or 6:25 specifically, wake up at 6:25. Boom. I'll just do it. I don't even need an alarm. I'll just
Yeah, you don't need an alarm.
automatically know.
It's in tune to you that you know how long you can sleep and stuff. Like you're aware of time. I mean, like dogs know how to like point to magnetic north and all that or whatever. Cows as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I mean, maybe humans don't have that in them, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they still did, regardless. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like with the Homo Navaldi that they're finding out, they had tiny brains, but yet they were still possibly bearing things. They recently said that they found this wooden tool that could be dating 374,000 years ago. The Homo Navaldi was about 250,000 years ago, and yet they were still possibly bearing. That's a YouTube video or a Netflix video. They were burying their dead, and it even looks like the kid was holding a tool in his hand. Like they put it in his hand as he died, as like a way to represent, and it was clearly like a knife tool. You know, it's very, very simple, but like if they were burying their dead, and it's very difficult to get into this place, like more maybe easier for a longer human like the Homo Navaldi. They were skinnier and smaller and longer, so maybe it would be easier for them to slip down something like that. But
some of me kind
bigger.
of wonders about that because if you weren't there so many hundreds of thousands of years ago, how can you be sure that it is specifically this time? I think after a certain time, it could be like an extra thousand, less thousand. It could kind of be a little, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist and I can't say that I know, but it just seems to me like I think at a certain point in time, you can only tell so much, and then the numbers might just get fudged somehow. So,
Well, they said it was anywhere between like 350 or 300,000 to 250,000 years ago that these Homo Navaldi lived.
I guess the fact is, I'm just more of a.
They found, dude, it's nuts. They went into this point, and then they go like through a skinny point into another point. Then they go up a hill. Then they go 12 meters down, and then they get into this other point. It's like super skinny. This 12 meters down. Now skinny for humans, but again, these Homo Navaldi were like 4'10" on average, so they were skinnier and smaller. So I don't think it would be as difficult for them. People weren't really. They kept saying like, "How do they get through this?" It must have been. I'm thinking like, yeah, it might have been challenging still, but if you're much smaller, I get why it's not as challenging. Challenging for you because you're huge and you're trying to fit through this small area.
Yeah, that's why I think I think it depends on the app. Like for that, like if we're going to talk about that, I think we should. I wanted to say like those the little people like leprechauns or those Navaldi or giants or whatever. I think it depended upon what was happening and the atmosphere, how much water was in the air, and all that. I think we were just either bigger or smaller based upon situations with the planet. So whatever the gases that were in the air could have affected us based on our height and all that. And I think that's possible. I think they were smaller.
I think there was a lot of water vapor in the air, and the water vapor made a lot more intelligent creatures. And there was more humanoid like giants and stuff like that were all there. But I also think that when you're bigger, your bones are also more able to be dissolved out. That's why we don't really find them anymore, because they've dissolved. The reason we find the dinosaur bones is that was like a whole different time.
Yeah, there's not a lot of. Are there a lot of sea creatures with bones?
Right, you don't see that. They dissolve out. You don't find all that stuff. They dissolve out.
So the more watery your bones are, the bigger you can be, but the bone is not as strong.
Right,
it's not as hard physically hard.
That's my general idea behind it. And that's what I'm saying. But the dinosaurs, the reason we find these bigger dinosaurs and their bones is because that was a meteor strike, and that was like a end all life, and things got buried in soot, and it just happened to be a freak of nature, and we found dinosaurs.
So when a meteor strike happens, it puts all the ash in the air, and it sort of heats everything up. But the fire and the ash kind of like dissolves the water. And
well, I don't know. I think that I just don't think the reason we don't find any like bones of giants and stuff from 70 or 80,000 years ago, when all this like or up to like, I'd say up to like 500,000 years ago, like 500,000 years ago, or maybe even that 800,000 years ago mark that I read that one time from that one paper about the pyramids and what the true purpose of the pyramids were. That he called it about 876,000 years ago. He said that's when the pyramids were first built. And that was like, that's crazy to think. But maybe that's true. That's like when humanity started this cycle of like different things. The thing is that the Homo naledi were just primates. That's just what they were. Yeah, maybe they were smart enough to bury their dead and all that. But I still think that there was larger creatures, and those were just little chimpanzees that ran around. Probably the reason the Homo naledi did what they did is because they watched these larger gods type creatures, but those bones are gone.
Yeah, I think what happened with some of that was when the primates had to hide because of the destruction that was happening. Some had to hide in the caves, and I think the caves was the first thing hiding in. They found different things growing in there, and I even went to some of these caves. Like there was this cave in Wisconsin I went to, and you could drink from these little straws at the top of the cave and get fresh water from it. You could drink from that, but each of those little straws had all the minerals you needed. It had calcium, magnesium, and it had all the stuff they talk about in vitamins. Well, no,
Did you drink it?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
It's too high in the air. I couldn't get close to it. But
oh yeah, right, dude. When I was in New Hampshire, I drank the water right out of the lake up when I was climbing Mount Washington. I was pretty far up. There was a natural waterfall. Oh man, I just drank it. Oh, so delicious.
That's the thing. I really like.
Here.
I really like even getting water from my well. I let if I'm outside working, I'll just drink right from the hose. I love it when it's just cold and it's been just rushing through there for a long time. I love that more than just getting the water out of the fridge after I've had it in the fridge for a while. Fresh, cold,
hose water?
fresh, cold, streaming. Well, it's coming right from it's going to my hose or my tap either way, and it's all from my well that's going through an aquifer underground. So it's all like fresh, cold water.
I'm not calling you out. I mean, I'm just laughing because it's like, yeah, they always talk about that like. Well,
I did that as a kid.
You're a '90s kid if you.
I did that as a kid, and it never, never bothered me.
'90s or earlier kid if you drank out of the hose.
Well, I'm an '80s kid. I mean, that's how.
I'm an '80s kid. I drank out of the hose.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I have to. I don't.
But
I don't have a city.
I wouldn't recommend it anymore because nowadays those same lines are not as clean as they used to be. They didn't replace them.
I don't have a public line. I have my own well. So
well, yeah, with you.
So it's just it's just coming right from nature.
But I'm just saying with like a lot of things, it's like you can't really trust that anymore. It used to be a good.
I know, and it's because people are burying things, and it's because people are burying things in their yards that are decomposing into arsenic and all these things, and then they fly these planes overhead, and then they dump chemicals.
I don't get it. Are these all unseen things? What's the point of where did you get the arbitrary number for your taxes if you were going to be fucking short on replacing the parts later and keeping it sufficient and up to date and new? That's the point of taxes. You should have been taxing us a little bit more for the last bunch of years then. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, it's actually a little more expensive so we can replace these parts and keep modernized and, not not let things fall the fuck apart and be like, yeah, it's good enough.
Honestly,
There's
taxes.
there's good enough. Let's keep it moving.
Taxes.
Doesn't make any sense.
The only thing taxes should really have gone to was like constables, fire departments, and road. Other than that, the only thing taxes are really kind of used for is to make sure we can vote. Because if you can own land, then you can vote. But if you don't own land, then you shouldn't be able to vote because you're not from here. So you shouldn't have a say in who is going to be someone in charge. You know, that's the only that's literally the only reason I can come up with that.
The problem is that it's cheaper to like build new than replace slowly.
Yeah.
Sell off, take a loss, build new, and then have that for 20 years run efficiently.
Yeah, I can understand if the structure is really bad, but there's a lot of new structures that they just tear down, and they're built well, and then they just tear the thing down completely. They don't refurbish it or anything. But that's what happens with these look, with the corporations, they build a structure, and you can tell with each structure it's built a particular way to look a particular way. So when you go there, you're like, oh, that's for that building. Like a Walmart, they're all built the same way. Like Menards, for our building thing, they're all built the same way. Well, maybe some slight variation, but most of them are built the same way. Well, it's like a Home Depot, but it's, you know, the Midwest Home Depot, and it's actually kind of better than Home Depot anyway.
Cabela's,
they're all built the same way. All these like an Arby's, most of them are built the same way. McDonald's are all built the same way. So when you go to the same place, you get the same feel. Like the insides are different, but the outsides are built the same way, so that when you see it, you're like, oh, I know what that is. It doesn't even have to have a sign. It doesn't have to have any words. Doesn't have to have an emblem. You just recognize the structure of the building, and you're like, I know where I'm going. Okay, I get that, but you know, you could just refurbish it, fix what isn't totally destroyed. But they waste.
Like it.
They
still go to the subway in China.
But that's why they end up hiking up the prices all the time, and it's going to keep happening like that because now they have to tear down a completely old structure that they could have just refurbished and saved about $2 million or however many millions of dollars it was to do it. Oh no, we'll just add that on to the price of the burger the next time. It's just wasteful spending. You could take something, customize it, make it yours, turn it into what you want, and put your sign on there. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't eat at Subway.
Yeah, Subways are always just
They're good. They're a good sandwich. I'll give them that. But
I like them sometimes. I used to go them a lot.
They have that Italian or whatever bread there, that cheesy one, or herbs and spices. It's enjoyable.
That's the only one I like. that's
it's the only one anybody likes, except for the people that go there to be healthy.
Yeah.
That's what people get that, and then they'll be like, "Oh, we get some chicken, cheese, and some random things on it, and put a lot of that teriyaki sauce on there."
I end up getting too many things, and my sub is like always liquidated by the time I get it home. It's like all over my hands.
Teriyaki sauce for the win.
I would like them just to put a sliver of it across there, so it would go inside and not outside, and like
do it up,
just splatter it up.
Throw some jalapenos on that too. Spinach, yeah, why not?
Well,
why not? Let's do
spinach. They can do that, but they have to throw in extra napkins, because if they're gonna give me a meatball sub and any kind of bread, even if it's not a meatball sub, I need napkins, because I'm just gonna be
fine.
Yeah.
Bacon, some olives.
Honestly, dude, lately, I put bacon on the side. I'll take the bacon out of the burger. It's too sloppy. Everything falls apart. You gotta
have some donuts,
bacon
and
on the side.
I wanted to put some bacon on those donuts. Make a Luther burger. I've been wanting to make a Luther burger lately.
It's
like a lot of... Yeah, it's a lot of A lot of bacon, a lot of cheese. That's all I know.
Oh, jeez. Okay, my point was
on a donut for a bun.
donuts are expensive now.
Yeah, donuts are expensive. That's crazy.
I know.
Flour and sugar. It's all the cheapest materials, people.
That's because our friend Rob had to jump into the business and become a manager. That's why. So if you're watching this, Rob, it's your fault, ultimately. He hiked up the prices, man. And as soon as he became a manager and he's been whipping people into shape, they've been making more money and cranking up the price, and now you have to pay more for it. Because he does a good job. At least I think he does. I don't know. I've never been to his job before. I have no idea.
They got you, you know. Everybody wants a donut. And it's like when you go back to go get a donut, you're like, dang. It's like $2 for a donut?
Mm-hmm.
When did this happen? And then you're like, I really wanted a donut. I was craving. I haven't had a donut in a while. You know, I'm not about to make the donut. I mean, I make donuts. I've made them before. It's not that hard to make, and they're delicious when you do make them.
You know what I haven't had in a while?
An apple fritter.
Any kind of donut.
A fastnut.
No, I had what does Danishes count?
Baklava.
I think Danishes count.
You ever had baklava?
I kind of like them, but I haven't had it in a long time.
You have?
Is that
a
chocolate?
Baklava?
Is that a chocolate critter or
no? It's
eclair.
It's like a very, very flaky pastry of honey, and like I think it's walnuts, but it's like they're ground up. They're really very ground up, and it'll be like a very, very flaky. Oh, it's so good, baklava. Oh man, best dessert from the Middle East ever. I don't know why I can't seem to find it anywhere. I think it's because it's hard to make.
Did you used to be Middle Eastern?
Me? In a past life, yeah, probably.
I would think.
I think I was a lot of things. I think I was Carmen Sandiego in a past life.
You know, I kind of wonder that too, because there's times I'm working, and after I worked a lot, it's like, oh man, I need some tea. You know, like sweet tea. And then after I'm done working, it's like, oh, the sweet tea tastes like crap. You know, and I'll drink, well, milk or something else, but I can't, like, only at certain times I like it, and then other times I like other things. But I don't know.
In my past life, I was an advisor to kings.
You were?
But I don't necessarily like to do that anymore.
Yeah. I think I was
I
was a strategist advisor.
What king I advised, or what couple of kings I advised, but
I've
made some changes in this world.
You know, we probably worked together at one point doing that.
You know,
I was the war
milk.
advisor, and you were the political homebody advisor. You know,
Genghis Khan won his wars because
Gangster Khan
of milk.
Milk?
Yeah.
How?
Because they were drinking milk, and they were able to fight for like longer periods of duration.
Really?
Yeah.
That's true?
Yeah.
Oh. It might not be, but I actually believe it. You know, it probably was honey milk.
Look, I'll look it up. The last thing that was on my phone that I searched was Unbreakable.
The movie?
Yeah. I was wondering what the third one was called again. It was Glass.
Did they make a second one?
Split.
No, that was with that freaking guy. That apparently looks like me.
Split was still part of. It was all part of it.
That was a demon.
But Glass combined them.
I think they wanted to put them together, and it does kind of make sense, but it still feels like that was a different movie.
It perfectly makes sense. real
But we could
people.
use this, you know, and actually, that works out for what we're talking about. They could use something
No,
that was
if
totally
Samuel Jackson,
not
and Bruce
in the
Willis were smart,
same.
they would just freaking make a comic with it by now. A comic, no digital video, no partnership with Netflix. A real comic of the superheroes, and keep it exclusively as a comic of that superhero story.
Wait, does Glass live in a
Glass
third?
does. No, I don't think so. I don't think Glass lives in the end. I'm pretty sure he died. Anyway, I don't even remember. I want to rewatch them all. That was a good trilogy. I really, really enjoyed it.
I
But
hated
I
how
knew
they
that
ended that.
I didn't like how they ended it, and I knew it was because they had to end it. Versus they could have really. It was like an X-Men Origins.
But they could have kept Bruce
It was
Willis alive because he was like the good guy and he had
It
some
was
use
all
to
such a
him.
good Origins. What was I gonna search? Oh yeah, Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan and milk.
I don't know how to spell Genghis.
Yeah, he also impaled a lot of people too, so he wasn't the. You know, a lot of people. That's another thing too. You know, we look in our past. They're going to make a movie about Napoleon. Did you know that? You know that's about to come out.
It's backwards, but you'll be able to. The Mongolian. That's so tough. The Mongolian warriors may have had a secret weapon hidden in their DNA. Their ability to drink large quantities of horse's milk and cheese made them leaner and stronger fighting machines.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
Vikings did that too, a lot, and it does work.
That they said that they were able to like continue like when a lot of the other empires would get really, really weak, that they would still have like the strength to just go in and fight them in the night and never stop the fight, and that people just couldn't keep up, and it was just because of milk.
Milk builds strong bones.
High on, they were high on protein.
Yeah.
Well, I just watched the thing where they were talking about how milk's not necessary and how the milk industry was so heavily pushed on us and all that kind of stuff.
Bull.
And no, they made good points. I agree that it was because it's government subsidized that it's so like weary on because there's so much of them.
The government wants to feed the babies because when they get older, then they can turn into military assets. So they need to make sure they feed the babies the right stuff so that we're strong. So that's why they promoted milk throughout the 50s and all the way till my childhood. They promoted milk so much. You're like, you need 5 glasses of milk a day. It's like, holy cow, dude, I can drink 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what they're saying. They're trying to say the dairy industry needed this to keep the sales going. That's why they had all that cheese at one point in time, because that's why they gave that. Remember, they gave blocks of cheese and stuff. To
government was really back in the
government cheese.
I would say in the 50s all the way till the 70s and up until near the 80s, they really did try to promote things that were actually really healthy for us as children. But then when we got older, then they're like, oh, smoke till you die, you know, and stuff like that. They promote all these strange things for you to have, certain kinds of drugs and all that. And no, they wouldn't promote you to live a long life. They promoted you to live up until a certain point so that you'd be strong enough and able to have a strong military. They were trying to do it for the military and for the sake of having smart men too, but they'd also promote not great things later on in life. But as a child, milk was a big thing.
But all right, but here's what I'm saying. This is all I'm going to say.
Even to the point that they were giving out whitewash and stuff just to make sure people had milk of some kind.
Every time I go and get raw milk, whether it be cow raw milk or goat raw milk, I feel incredible.
I know. I do too.
Incredible. But only on raw milk. Regular milk, I feel like I got a good source of protein and carbs, like sugar.
That's what I was just telling you today. When I had the full milk, it was like drinking skim. I drank almost the whole thing immediately. I don't think we're getting the same kind of fat milk we had as a kid.
But when all I'm saying is, you know, once I said I put a little heavy cream in there, man.
And I guess I have to do that now, which I should never have had to.
That's just the fat, though. It's not the protein anyway.
The fat is some of the best part of that. That's why when you're eating steak and stuff, you should have some of
Raw.
the
I'm
fat
telling.
of the steak because the fat part is
But
it's a lot
but
of
look,
good
it's the same thing. It's the
nutrients in
same thing
there.
about the pasteurization. The only reason we pasteurized milk was because of the long time ago when, you had to, because there was a lot of problems with the way that they were doing things and droughts and, just trying the best they could to survive, and pasteurizing kept
Hmm.
the system going where people could get stuff a little bit better in milk. Just had to heat it up. Turns out you just had to cook it. Fine, we'll just cook it. So it was fine, and that's all I'm saying is like, like milk's. I mean, milk's good for you, but raw milk is like
The
that's. I'm
best.
sure I'm sure that Genghis Khan wasn't pasteurizing his milk back then.
Why do you think the price of organic milk is so high? You know,
I don't even know.
like comparatively,
It's
it's like $4 more than the other stuff.
Organic milk tastes better though.
I'm just
For
saying,
sure.
like 5, 6 years ago, I used to go
I
get
think
organic
whole
milk or the regular milk, and it was like it's just $1 more. It's like, well, it's not only $1 more. I'll try it out. I was like, wow, this actually tastes good. And I should have kept my
Yeah, it
mouth
tastes
shut
better.
because after I started saying it was good, then the price started rising like crazy, and I shouldn't have said anything. So sorry, everybody. It was partially my
I
fault.
got you hooked. Got you hooked.
Maybe it wasn't my fault. Maybe it's me and a few other people that, or whatever. But yeah. Yeah. It's just, but that's the thing. That's what they try to do. They knew how valuable dairy is, because of the protein, because of what's in it. It's got all the nutrients to rebuild things, keep you strong. And I honestly think, and I can't say for sure, but I honestly think this whole vegan thing they put together, avoid milk, avoid protein, avoid all that stuff. I don't know if those people are really that thin.
Do vegans say avoid protein?
No, no, no. You notice how that was like a big boom like the past 10 years ago, and you see them and they're all pretty skinny. I had a friend that went full vegan and he was just bones. I could see like the knob of his knees and every little bone structure in his body.
You gotta eat more tofu.
And the thing is, like, he was trying to keep up with eating the nuts and all the legumes and all the stuff that had protein in it and all that, but he was still he was like a skeleton. He was healthy, but he was a skeleton. But the thing is, like,
But should
I
we live
honestly
like that?
don't
But then on
I
weekend,
don't think
should we
that
live like
works
that?
for everybody.
But okay, maybe having the egg in the morning,
But if you're
and
vegan, you
maybe
can't have the egg. You can't have the dairy.
okay, not
Vegetarians, you can, but
okay.
you
I
know,
I just think that the strategy for me, and I don't follow it. I don't follow it. I eat as I please. But for me, the best strategy is like don't eat any meat for like 6 days, and then on the seventh day have like a nice meat meal.
for who?
Like that, huh?
For who?
For
What?
everyone,
No,
because
no.
we should be like toning our body.
You know what? I've been getting back in really good shape, and I'm only doing a little bit of work every day. And guess what I've been having every day?
Steak and hamburgers.
Every day, I did the same thing I did in the military: either 2 cheeseburgers or a double
Tuna.
cheeseburger every day.
And tuna.
Every day.
Do you eat the bread with it?
Sometimes I have a little pizza, and if I have the little pizza, then I start feeling like I'm putting on weight because it's the bread. It's not the cheese. It's the bread.
Or the oil?
Well, I don't know. I don't really get pizzas with a lot of oil, but I mean, it could be. It could be that. But then again, I've noticed like bread is the thing that I need to kind of avoid. I feel like I can eat all, like I could have 3 steaks and eat them all in one sitting. Good sized steaks, eat them all in one sitting. And I'm not full, but I don't feel hungry. And then
But
if I
you
have
add
something,
one potato to it,
also too, like
those,
if
those
I
three
have,
steaks will come down to two. And if you add a few green beans, damn, those more starches will really fill you in, and then you're just like, all right, it's good enough.
yeah, I can do the keto thing. I could do the lion thing. I feel fine with that. Or the dairy thing, but like trying it, like I tried last year to do the whole vegetable thing, try to do a vegetarian thing. I felt sick, man. I just felt sick. Almost a year. I mean, I'm like some vegetables I like. The ones are more watery. And fruits I like, and those are fine. But the breads, too, like I don't know. I think I OD'd on bread somehow. Doing that trial process, and it just didn't do me any favors. Yeah. So every time I'm praying the Our Father, I always wonder why
bread,
he said, "Give us this day our daily bread," because I don't have it
but,
anymore.
but bread. There's a difference between like mold grains mixed with water, and then possibly if you were smart enough to also take mold grains mixed with water that also grew a bacteria of yeast and replicated that and added that to it to make a leavening agent, and if you were even smarter than that to add a tiny bit of sugars into it, and maybe if you salts into it if you could, and that's bread to me. That's bread.
Yeah, beer is my bread. Beer is the only thing I actually like.
But I'm saying
comes to
like
bread.
sandwich loaves that you get at the store and stuff like that, the cut breads and stuff. It's not really bread to me. Even like French bread with all like the fats added to it. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not bread. It's just you start getting into like well, it's something in between a pastry and bread.
Well, French are notorious for that.
And you can say it's like
French are notorious for that. They love to have pastries, crepes.
But here's the thing. That it gets annoying is that I'll go to a lot of grocery stores and I'll look at it and it'll be like the Italian bread, and I'll look at the ingredients and it'll have like butters or something or something like our margarine or something, and I'm thinking like, but that's like the French bread. Like the Italian bread is supposed to just be like the three ingredients and dry and crispy and heated really hot stoves, right? Isn't that the Italian way of how they did things? Make bread, where it's like big holes and hot 500-degree ovens and it comes out brown.
I gotta say,
like,
I don't really know.
And the French like the fats and all that kind of stuff. Add the lards and the butters.
It's Italy.
And make it
Italy
soft.
is Italy because of Italy and because of Rome from long ago. I think there's sort of a continuation of that. So it's Italy and Italians and Rome are kind of an amalgamation of things surrounding it. So it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that from that culture, and a little bit of that from that culture. I don't really know what
it just seems to me
specifically
more and more that,
is like super original.
All the bread you buy is always containing like weird leavening agents and no reason to add fats.
Maybe it's not so much that my body never liked bread. Maybe it's because of with this watering down of the system of like, we could make a killing by selling this bread with less bread and more xanthium gum, and make the same profit and actually pay for less. I used
xanthium gum in my jelly the other day, my raspberry jelly.
I'm just saying, like, I think that's what's happening. I don't think it's the fact that it might not be the fact that it might not be the fact that we don't like bread or certain things. It might be the fact that there's all these other chemicals added to it that almost makes it like the thing, but it's not actually the thing anymore. It's something. It's an amalgamation of many, many things. It's not even that anymore. And so our bodies are like, whoa, I used to like this, but what is going on here? There's something in here I can't detect. It's one of these things. And, maybe the fact is that's it. We're just swallowing gum all the time. A bunch of xanthium gum, swallowing this stuff, and it's just accumulating in our stomachs, and then it's not healing us, not doing us any good.
I think it's just a lot of sugars. I mostly use xanthan gum to make like slime and stuff like that.
I'm just making an example with that. I don't know what specifically.
I just didn't have any cornstarch at the house, and I was like, well, I do have xanthan gum. I was like, I'll use it. Pain in the ass to work with, though.
Yeah,
That's no matter what you do, you gotta.
That's how I feel.
Emulsify that thing.
That's how I feel with some of these beers, though, too. I like to try different beers, but then I wonder what they're putting in half the stuff, and you can't. There's no ingredient on here tell you what it is. Like what Germany went with their purity law. That's why sometimes if I wonder, like, oh my gosh, that last beer, I don't like that at all. I'm gonna get a German beer. Then it's got a purity law, so it's always just, I think, 3 different things that they can put in there. They can't put much else, and I can do different combinations with that. But like that's what I think is going on. There's just too much random ingredients that they're throwing in there. Like, hey, we got this extra ingredient we know what to do with. Throw it in there. Nobody will notice.
No.
Nobody will
Lemon peels. Throw them in.
We didn't grind them yet.
Butane.
Doesn't matter. They're not going to notice.
Butane lighter. Give it a bang.
I got this, we got extra rubber heels from the factory next door. What do we do? Just throw it in there. Just throw it in there.
Hey, Lou, where do you want this paperwork? Throw it in.
Throw it in. Oh, man.
You know what, guys? I think I got the name for this beer. Workaholic. Oh, that's a good beer name. It's a good beer name. Do you? We can put a whole thing. Do you work 9 to 5? Or how about 10 to 10 or something? When you pull all nighters and you understand what real work means, like sit down to this beer. It's a hazy IPA. You put no thought into it.
It's a triple hazy IPA. It's a triple IPA.
It's a sour hazy IPA.
We don't know how much penicillin we put in there, but we know it's a lot. You'll enjoy it.
Why is it so sour? Is he just standing over there peeing over it? Hey, stop that, man.
Oh, man. I think the fact is, though, what it comes down to when it came to America is there's tons of times we come to the point that there hasn't been any regulation of any material we put in the food we're eating. Have you noticed that?
I know. I was drinking a beer and then I saw it was from Detroit and I second guessed everything I was doing.
Drugs, food.
I was like, I started thinking about who's making this beer. I'm just thinking who's making it?
That's why you were saying earlier with the whole thing, if someone was having a straight up burger and then someone else is like, I brought McDonald's, I'm gonna have that burger.
That's what I said.
Because your body knows what's in it, and it's I know it's safe or safer.
McDonald's just made the line of good enough. There's good enough and fast enough that it was worth it to people, but they moved the bar. They moved the bar over, and then as the bar gets moved, it's like I said, the youth only sees what we grow into as norm. Yeah. Our children don't experience the growth like we did. I know. They just experience that as the norm. That's normal for them. That's the way it always was.
That's sad.
So it's if you keep pushing the bar over and further, your kids are just gonna keep being that's where the bar is. That's the center.
I know. And you know what? That kind of sucks because it's what we kind of grew up with is just the fact that You know what? This is also what I had to say. Like when you're talking about the love of money and all that, it comes down to with a lot of people in America, and the irony of it all is that we sort of worship the freedom of what you do, whatever you want to do. The problem goes, you don't test something enough, and you don't even know what you're doing, and you're feeding people random things, and then later on they all get sick, they die from it. You're like, well, we couldn't know. Yeah, you could have known, but you didn't.
I got an example.
But it came down to the love of money that you needed to sell this product, and it didn't matter. Damn the statistics.
The very first oil spill, and let's say either it was a tanker or something offshore blew up or something like that. I don't even know. But as soon as that happened, the very first one,
yeah,
all the oil going in. We could have said we no longer can continue doing this. Or we could have also said if we're ever going to do this, it needs to be high-end regulated. This never happens ever again. But it didn't happen either. Mm-hmm. Just some fines being paid, money being paid.
And that's the point. It came down to the love of money versus
new regulations being made to cover people's asses a little bit more. And, hey, we need new positions where, hey, you're going to vote my way because, I gave you your job.
I know.
And, just more taxpayer money being spent. And the problem never really being solved because, the people who are getting new positions, they don't look at it like, oh, my job is to stop this. That was never the point. It's just ridiculous.
So it turns from how can I make things better to how can I sell my poison to some sucker that I'm not going to take.
We've had rubber duckies fall all over the ocean carriers, I mean, countless different things have opened up in our ocean that humans have just, oops, but you could easily ban that idea of like, well, we can't allow you to transfer, 8 million cargo units or however many you got on your dang boat. Like, if it's got the potential to spill, I mean, look at after the Titanic. Titanic was a good foreshadowing that it's like, hey, doesn't matter how sturdy you build a boat,
it can break.
You're gonna crash in the ocean. Like the ocean's not your friend.
There's water everywhere. Yeah, so are ice cubes.
Yeah, if there's not water, there's ice or rocks somewhere right underneath it. Like the ocean is not. It's never helpful.
The ocean is not your friend. You should never look at the ocean like it's your friend, because the ocean is a vast sea of water that you cannot tame or control. As much as you wish to do it, you just can't. So
I mean, like we as humans could have been like, we just, we don't allow that kind of travel. Same thing with like airplanes. After an airplane was like, we don't want to have a tragic event of that, but we allow it. We just allow it. We just keep allowing. We keep allowing fuck ups, and we keep allowing.
That's what we're gonna
payouts.
That's what it turned into. With
McDonald's did something to you. Here's $800,000. We're cool.
Yeah, but dude, let me tell you, that's what happened, and people were complaining about, no, there's no such thing as geoengineering and stuff. Like, dude, it's airplanes going overhead, and they dump the fuel if they don't need it, or they dump the chemicals if they don't need it. So instead of what happened in the past, where people dump chemicals into a lake and all that, they'll just fucking fly overhead and dump it in the air and let it turn into particles and stuff and be like, fuck it, we don't need to do any shit about that. And that's what they're actually doing with some of these things. And then people are saying they're actually purposely doing it to us. No, they're just doing it because they're getting rid of their product that they don't need anymore, and they don't know where to put it. And they got too much of this biochemical stuff, and so we get sprayed with it because they're just a bunch of meatheads. They're a bunch of dumbasses. And that's what happens. And then they go, they wouldn't do that to us. And you got two sides fighting over it. And it's just another corporation finding some way to dump it into a lake that they can't. So they're like, we'll just spray it as aerosol.
It's no different.
And now we're poisoning ourselves in
lead.
Yeah,
than the lead situations
yeah,
back in the day. You know?
exactly. And I'm just telling you,
They
this
act
is
like
what's
they act like they're so smart, and people act like they're so smart, and it's like, no, we're all getting really dumber, really
and we're
faster,
poisoning
and it's
ourselves
because we're poisoning ourselves.
just so that
We're
we
not getting
can save a
like,
buck, you know? Because who can stop you from in that
or be
jet in the
or be
air?
complacent. Not
Who can
not just
stop
save
you
a
in the
dollar, but
air from dumping all your chemicals in the air? Who's going to stop
not
you?
just.
You're so
But
high
you know what I
up and
mean?
it gets crystallized in the atmosphere and it starts to come down as particles and you don't even see it. The whole air gets hazy. Who can stop you? Are the air police going to go up and stop you? No, they aren't. There is no air police. There's the Air Force, but they're not there for that. They're there to protect against other countries. So you can literally just get away with whatever you want in the air, dump anything you want, and other people just have to be like, well, I guess they're, just flying. You can't say anything about it.
People's urine. We've all been sprayed with it.
I know. And now we're breathing in all these chemicals, and 20 years from now, to be like, well, if we would have known about that back in the time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, you can fucking see it. You can see it right in the air. I can't believe you guys are this daft to not even have the thought process to go, oh, they're just doing what they did in the 70s by dumping it into the chemicals and making a MacGyver episode about it and go, oh, he's going to poison the plants and the people. Yeah, it's going to do that. They're doing it up there now. What the hell? Monopolies in these super high corporations, not the little mom and pop shops, but the big corporations that get too big for their britches, do this stuff because they have too much chemical waste, and they want to find a way to save money. They're like, oh, let's save money by waste. Let's just bury it. Let's throw it in the ocean somewhere. Let's not.
It's like Monsanto, you know. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, our seed blew over into your area. Well, we'll be suing you. Like,
we're gonna make a chemical compound of it and mark it so it's marked in our name, so that's ours. You know,
the people were proud. The people were proud to have the organic away from Monsanto's seeds, and Monsanto's seeds blow over into there, and then Monsanto wants to try to go after them. Like, you sons of a bitches! Are you trying to steal our recipe without paying? Like,
I know, and they'll
unbelievable.
They could literally just take a big fan or take a plane and just dump it overhead, and it just slowly sprinkles into your field, and you never know it. And it'll send over an investigator and be like, I wonder if you've got our seeds. Oh, look at that. You do. How did you get that? Well, that's your fault. Sorry, sir. You're going to have to pay us a fine. The shady things these big corporations get away with, and they do it, and it's strategically done so that you look like the idiot and you look like the conspiracy theorist, when really it's actually like a devious plot to make sure that they can keep their monopolies running. They have no competition. And we've come to the point that people are so happy with this super mega corporation, no competition guy. And they're like, please be our Superman hero god. We've come to that point, dude. We've come to that point. And I think that's the point of what I needed to say. We need to wake up to this, man.
Did you come to a full circle on that?
I think I did. I made some sense, bro.
The world's got to figure some things out.
I think
before, Jesus is love.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have love in your heart, like you don't have Jesus in your heart.
I think it makes sense though with what we're saying, because Jesus would not want these mega corporations running around and run loose and roughshod over everybody, because it stomps out our ability to be creative. We can't, because we have to work for the mega corporation. We have to do what they say. We can't have a life. We can't be good at something. We have to work under someone else's thumb in whatever devious tactical ways that they wish to be. And then we just have to go along with it. I don't think that's how we're supposed to live. And honestly, with what you said before, with how we can actually talk to each other now with the videos, versus in the past or watching a program, being programmed to see what we're supposed to see, and we couldn't respond to it, we couldn't say anything to it, we couldn't interject, we couldn't interact, we couldn't say, hey, no, I don't think you're right about this. We couldn't do that. Now we can. Now we actually have a voice to be able to, you know, become who we should be.
Fact checkers. Everybody's become fact checkers to everything.
Yeah.
If somebody says something, somebody else sees it and it gets popular, somebody's going to call it out. You know, they know. Somebody else will know something about it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like, from a strategic point of view, you can look at, and everybody can now, and you can kind of see what's happened with the world. And I think the fact is, like, what we want to do is open people's eyes, you know, to what the truth is and what you need to be aware of. Because we've had about 2,000 years of everybody trying to have these big organizations just have sole control to the point that they literally, they do whatever they want and they don't care about the little guy in any way. And it's always been like that. For as long as, maybe that's what Jesus was trying to say the whole time. He was trying to kind of point that out. Like, this is what you have to watch out for. You have to be fruitful. Because if you're not fruitful, you're just letting these pyramid things just take over. And only the guy at the top actually makes anything out of it. Everybody else down is a slave. It's a slave system. You know? I don't know what else to say about that, but
second and third tier.
Well, maybe they. Well, they're kind of like the yes men. They're just like, yeah. That's all they got to do. But I mean, they're not getting in the king's chamber, but you know. Well, they get a comfy life, but they don't really get to have their own thought process. You know, it's just yes men near the top, and then, you know, high end workers, and then all the low workers just below it. You know, the brick at the top takes the least pressure. The bricks at the bottom take all the pressure. I just thought of that.
Obviously.
Yeah.
That's how gravity works.
I'm making a metaphor, but, you know.
Where is it?
Where's what?
Where's the simile?
The people at the top have very lush life. People at the bottom are always pressurized. That's why the people at the bottom have such crummy lives. Why do you think most of the people at the bottom are drug dealers or coke dealers or some kind of dealer or, you know, doing something that is destroying their lives? They got some kind of serious addiction they can't handle. They can't handle life to the point that they're almost broken on the street. And when you get up to a little higher levels, it's not as bad. And when you get up to the highest level, near the highest level, it's like you almost have a perfect life. And here to the very high level, money's not even a thing. It's just about whether you're gaining, you know, popularity or control in that sense. We've been living in that system that people complain about so much for about 2,000 years. And now, with the internet and being able to talk with each other, we're going to be able to swing that pendulum around, and it can change.
All we are is just another brick in the
wall. These songs were made to show you the reality that you live in, and you sing along to it because you know it's true. That's why the popular songs are popular, because it's the way things have been.
Fall to the ball, they bang, diggy.
That one I can't explain.
Oh, you didn't feel that related to the topic?
Well, maybe I do. We're having a lot of fun here. Yeah, I think
I think a lot of things.
I do. And you do too. But yeah, I think we've I think what we're gonna learn with this whole Aquarius life that we're pushing into, whether we get to see it or we're just I think we're at the cusp of starting it right here. You know, if we are in it, then that's cool. But I think what we're gonna see is we're gonna like break away from that whole superstructure system, and we're gonna be able to live our own individual lives to a good degree. I know we'll be working with other people, but it'll be instead of this, it'll be more like like this, like a
it'll be
web,
somewhat of a steampunk type era,
you
but
know.
less of the steampunk style and more of like people more in tune with nature. Like people can just you're gonna have
Hmm.
more trees being grown, less of this idea. Like we don't need yards. People don't like this yards thing, so you can start having this. Oh, you can just live out in this area and you get this little bit of land, and it's like, okay, yeah, you might have a few more bugs sometimes and stuff like that, but it's like you're over it.
Yeah, yeah,
You just patch stuff up, and if you learn to live out in the wild a little bit more. And
yeah. People are gonna get attuned to being able to make friends with people that they normally wouldn't make friends with,
and
and
then they'll
see.
have these corporate Walmarts and stuff that people can go into towns to. If you go into the corporate, it's like smoggy. There's no middle class anymore. You're either out in the open homes.
I I think it's gonna. I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna try so hard to get everybody back in their system that it's gonna annoy the
Or the
hell out of
city.
everybody to the point that their systems break. You know, it's like that.
The
It's like that.
city.
It's like that. It's like that. It's like that one friend that tries to pull you in and get you to do the only thing that he wants to do. You know, and then it just annoys them. It annoys a lot of people to the point that they just don't do it anymore. They give up. You know.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, man.
I.
Sometimes do what other people want to do.
I'm joking, man.
I have problems.
I know. Yeah, we all do, though.
Well, how do you want to close this? Because I'm getting exhausted.
Yeah.
The whole topic.
Do you think it's harder to be
I
a
feel
good? We got Quint. Oh, and Jack too. Do you think it's harder to be a good man than it is to be? Wait. Let me see here. Do you think it is harder to be a good man than it is to be God? Yes.
A good man than it is to be God?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you could be any God, then it would
Yes.
probably be easier to be God. But
Yes and
to
no.
be a good God, no. I think being a good God is much more difficult.
Well, Jesus did say, because they were asking him earlier about it, and he says, "Didn't your scriptures say, you're also sons of God, so we're family, so we can call ourselves that?" But I think the fact is, like, when he was saying, like, we can be sons, and he didn't say daughters, but at the time it was mostly, men that were just teaching this. It wasn't women at the time, but when it comes to that, it's interesting because, well, I mean, you have to imagine like being God, being off in the vast everything and just knowing everything. I think if you were, I think if you were God and you knew everything, you'd have the confidence. you'd have the love, you'd have the caringness, you'd have everything to keep yourself afloat. But when you're here as a human, and sometimes you wonder and you don't feel like you have direct answers, you might have some signs and you might have some people, but some people don't have anything. No signs, no answers, no nothing. And, they wonder if God is God there and all that. And I think maybe some of them have a harder life so they can actually find a way to see God and everything around them. And it's, because even Jesus said when he was with the tax collectors, he said he didn't go to the ones that were righteous because they already just thought they had everything right. He went to those that didn't have anything. So I think that's why you see a lot of people in harder situations turn to God sooner than you see people that have high affluence and wealth really don't that much, because they don't need for anything. They have no needs. Everything's taken care of. So that's why I'm saying I think man, in that sense. Now I can't perfectly say I know what God's gonna say. The main creator is gonna say, but I think man. I think that's why we're here, to have a tough time. And then even in that tough time, even when it says in the book of Job, will he come back to us? Will he do this? And the devil's like, he'll never come back to you. Even if I take all these things away from Job, he'll never come back to you. And then he still did.
Yeah, but as a God, you have the ability to imagine up these ideas that pop into your head. Do you have the ability to refrain from that? What is morally wrong in your own? Because your imagination and reality are two different things.
Well, the fact is, if the creator imagined this, then that is the reality. If he imagined us here, we are the reality of the imagination.
I think the creator imagined a scenario. I think he already knows all the whereabouts of it. But the scenario has its ability to play itself out. Autonomously.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're very basic creatures.
I could kind of see how that could kind of I can kind of see that there. Being a good person in this rotten world is just about the hardest thing to do. You're right. Humans are stuck with what they have. Someone once told me that
denial.
Someone once told me that you can't find God looking for him because he's with us all along. I think that's part of the truth, because what Jesus said, you can either be a servant or a slave. You can choose which one you want to do. A servant is just going to follow along, doing what he's told, and just because of what he's told us, or no, wait, I said that wrong. A son or a son or a slave. Sorry, you can be a servant or a slave.
I want to see
what. You could be a son,
either way.
A son or a slave. So, okay, you know where I'm going with this, right? So if you're family, you're going to make decisions in life, not always the greatest decisions. That's why there's the prodigal son story in the Bible as well, which means that the one son went off and just screwed around, did whatever he wanted to do. His dad was always hoping he'd come back, but he let him do his thing. He let him be his own man by going off and making his own choices, as bad as they were. And then he came back, So that was kind of the point of being family. Close enough for he said close enough for servant or slave. No, okay. My point is, if you're a son, you're going to make decisions. You are going off and you don't know exactly what you're doing. And I think that's what life is about, actually. We're going off, we're making our own decisions. We're hoping for the best, but we're trying to do it for the creator. So that's kind of the point of it. A slave is just somebody that just constantly does what they're told all the time. Doesn't, they're doing this, I'll do that. When in Rome, do as Rome does, which, for culture, okay. But spiritually speaking, I don't know if that really applies, So I think when it comes down to it, you have to find out how you're going to make your life better, because you want to try to, it's the thing, you want to try to make other people's lives better, but you can't make other people's lives better. Only by making your life better and by being
Oh,
a better, closer person
interesting
to
you
the
say
creator.
this. Interesting you say this. I actually thought about
Yeah.
this the other day. That I had this idea in my head that came in, and I said, how can I pray for something that I myself could be like sinning about? I like if you have a problem stealing and you steal from other people, it's hard. It would be impossible for you to pray for someone else to
Exactly.
like
Exactly. Right
and
there.
in that same like aspect. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly what the karma comparison would be, but
Well, you're saying
like
the same thing Jesus said. A blind man can't a blind person following a blind man. They're both
if you
gonna
have if you have lust, you can't pray for someone else,
to not
you know,
be
to
lusty.
not yeah,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
anything, like you can't pray for someone else to not I hope that that person never goes into that industry, or I hope that nothing ever bad happens to that person, praying for that, but yet you're guilty of like being the same level of demeanor,
Exactly.
so like how can you make the prayer for that if
Exactly.
you hold this? And I thought about that, and I was like, it's interesting to me. Like, I think like that's the whole thing, is like a lot of people are blindly praying for things that they can't fix because they don't understand it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
go to Jesus for those kind of things. For your own sins, you have to go to Jesus for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you pray to Jesus because he's the only one who doesn't. He can help you because he doesn't have the problem.
Honestly, it's
You know.
I think honestly, like what I was saying earlier, I think the fact is it was conquering the addictions that we get addicted to, and Jesus conquered all
Yeah,
those things. That's why he
I
didn't
think so
have
too.
pride, he didn't have the lust, he didn't have the this, he didn't have the that, he
Ear-
didn't have all this. And
Earth is just addiction. It's just an
or,
addiction house.
yeah, and then you're either on one addiction or you're on another, and you end up doing too much of.
Even to the point that you can be addicted to life. You want to be obsessed with staying as long as alive as you can, and
Yeah, immortality. Dr. Victor Frankenstein. That was actually based on a real historical person, and there's probably been multiple other people that did that too. So, what do you think doing good for someone to make yourself feel better is really doing a good thing? I mean, I can't be selfless. Good feeling. That's always been one of those questions that people have asked.
well, how much does God weigh in your imagination?
What I have to
You know,
say,
you
what I have to say is that it doesn't matter. We're here with other people, which means that we came here. You can say that we were put here, but I believe we came here because we wanted to be with the other people. We wanted that. So to say that I'm just doing it for someone else to feel good because I did it for someone else, that's the point. We came here to do that. You can't just try to pull back and say, well, if I did it for them, so I feel good because I did it for them, I feel like maybe I'm sinning because I feel good doing it for somebody else. If you don't feel good doing it for somebody and you just do it randomly for somebody else and you don't feel anything, then you don't have any heart in it. It doesn't matter. Like I could just give $5 to some random guy that's walking on the streets and be like, here you go. Why'd you do that? I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to feel good about it, but I just want you to have it. They're gonna get to a. It's confusing.
what?
You know what I'm saying? It's
What?
confusing. Why would you do that? Why would you just give $5 to some random dude? It'd be like, I
Because
had
he
extra
needs it
money.
and you have it.
He does. You don't know he needs it. You don't know he needs
You
it. He might not need it at all. He might be a millionaire, and you give him $5 for no reason, and then
But did you need it? Did you need it?
you might actually need it. But you thought, I'm going to be helpful, and I'm just going to give it to some random guy, and I'm not going to care.
What's your goal?
You didn't. There is no goal. It's just giving random stuff away. You could have maybe needed that. You could have maybe used that for something, but if you give it to some random person without thought about what the point of that was, there's just no point to it.
What about tithing at church?
Because you're actually giving it to people that might actually need it. But if you give it to a random
might.
Well, I'm just saying they might actually need that. Because you're giving it to people that have a purpose and intent for giving it to others that are in need. Now, I don't know what organizations are giving to, but usually they do give it to somebody that does need it. You know? But it's like, okay, here's a good example. Let's say you drive around and you want to pick up people and take them somewhere. Let's say the person wants to go for a walk. He wants to go for a 2-mile walk, and you're like, hey, I'll pick you up. You pick up the guy, you take him where he wants to go, and after a while he goes, you know what, I don't really want to walk anymore. This guy will just drive me wherever. And so he ends up just using you to get a ride somewhere, and you're wasting your time helping a person get back and forth that has absolutely no reason to go back and forth anymore to this place because he's just taking a walk. And now you're wasting your gas. He's just getting a free car ride. And if nothing happens out of that, it's just kind of wasting time. You could have spent your time doing something that, you know, for somebody that would have needed that.
How's he getting a free car ride?
Because he's just going for a walk to get exercise. And now that you want to give him a drive, he's like, I'll just sit in this guy's car and let him drive me around. Now he's not getting the exercise he needs, and you're taking a random person all around the place for no reason. When you could have actually tried to work with somebody
Why'd you do that? Why would you do that?
That's my point. That's my point. If you're trying to do something...
What is he doing in your car?
You're trying to do something good for somebody, but you don't realize this person just wanted to go for a walk. And now he doesn't even care about the walk anymore.
How do I know this guy?
I'm just saying, my point is you're trying to do something good for somebody, right? So you want to give him a ride somewhere because you think he needs to go somewhere. He doesn't have to actually go anywhere. He's just going for a walk for exercise. So he stops exercising because now he gets a free car ride. And you think you're helping him get somewhere, but you're not. You're on two completely different planes of reality now, and you're not actually really doing any good for anybody. You're actually helping them become lazier.
I'll give you one.
That's the point. My point is, helpfulness without direction isn't going to do any true good. I mean, it could maybe, but the likelihood isn't all that great. Like, if you want to help somebody that needs help, go to somebody that actually does need help, and then help them with what you can help them with.
I'll give you one.
But
I'll give you one.
My point was, and I'll close up with this. My point was, if you're looking at, and other people would say this, like, if I just try to help out people, you know, and then think, I don't want to help them because I want to be helpful. I want to help them just randomly and then not feel anything. And then that would be the best way to do it. You'll end up in situations like that where you'll be helping out random people to do things and then they get absolutely nowhere in their lives. And they were supposed to do something else, but now that your random helpfulness that has no meaning to it actually screwed up what they had to do. It kind of messed with the plan in a way. You know, they already had this other plan. Like, I'm going to go out and exercise every day. I'm going to do a walk. I guess I don't need to. He just wants to drive me everywhere. I guess that's what God wants me to do, is just sit around and do nothing. And it just gets screwy. So when people need help with something, it's because they need help with that thing. And that's how I see it. I mean, if you can find a better way to counter-argue that, I would love to hear it. But from my point of view and my perspective, that's kind of how I see
when I ran
situation.
This temp agency, when I ran this temp agency, I had this one kid one time say, "Hey, can you give me a ride home at the end of the shift?" You know, you probably heard that I give a couple people rides. I don't mind. You know, I'm going that way. I don't mind dropping people off. He said, you
I
know, it's a little.
remember this, and yes, I.
And he said it's you know the other direction. Or first said is you know like should be on the way or something. Then it turned it's just well it's down the road on you take this road
Mhm.
you know. And I'm like well that's not on the way you know. I told you if it's towards this way or not. And he said yeah. So it's
Mhm.
not on the way. And then you know I'm like well how far down on this road? And he said just like a mile or so like down the road. When you get to be a mile, it's never it's like you're like oh man, oh I forgot about this like 10 minutes then
Mhm.
10 minutes you get 10 minutes and you just it's another 10 minutes. And I'm like basically so we get to his house I tell him you know I'm your boss like don't come in tomorrow don't don't you're fired like you made me this dude made me drive 35 minutes in the wrong direction. He didn't make me. I could have told him get out of my car at any point in time. But like
Mhm.
I feel for people. I feel for people. I start thinking like, you know, you're just trying to have a good job. You just try
Mhm.
and now I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna be crude and drop this guy off in a spot that's like, you know, in the middle of nowhere on his way. That would be rude. You know, then
Mhm.
what make him have to walk like he kept telling me it's right down the road and it wasn't right down the road. It's like a whole nother town down. Like his like once we started getting out of the first town, I'm like, well, and he like says the next town down. I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? I was like, you told me it was at the end, it was just on the side of this town. You know, now you're telling me it's in the next town down. Like it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
But I'm already there, so I just do it. I told him
Yep.
like, don't
You
come back.
you
Like,
actually, and you also had another scenario that you talked about too, with picking up the one
well,
guy that only needed to go a little bit. But what you're saying right there actually kind of
he
goes
was
with
the
it.
one guy one
It
time.
it kind of goes with my
But
point
you,
of you help out random people for no reason, and it could mess you up because now you're spending all this extra money to go somewhere, and you already had other plans or you already had other things you needed to do, and now you
I just
can't
feel
because you're
look, I
just
feel for
doing.
people sometimes.
But
I see a
if
person
you
who
would have
needs help and
like
I can
known.
offer it to them and I try to do it. But when you take full advantage of me, like full advantage of me,
And
like yo, that was the thing.
that's yeah,
A couple,
that's also that could also goes into it because then people will just take advantage of you when you help out people randomly without feeling any kind of gratification. Now I know that there's a whole point like, oh, I need to have my plaque on the wall and stuff like that. That's going I mean, it could be a nice feeling like what they did with King of Queens where they had to make sure their plaque was at the highest part of the wall because they donated so much and all that. But when it comes to certain
but
people, you just do things randomly, they'll just take advantage of you sometimes. And if they take advantage of you, not only is it, giving them what they want, but it's hurting you because it's cutting into time of what you need to do with your life. Now they're taking advantage of you. And that's not, but I see what you're coming from. So I think you were going to say something about that other guy, you know? I don't know.
what about that same guy? The one time when he took super long bathroom break, I even had to go check on him.
What?
Yeah, that same guy, the couple days earlier, he had taken a bathroom. He's like, I need to use the restroom. The thing is about using restrooms, I got to put people in relief positions and all that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like an annoyance. Like I got to cut somebody else down, making it work harder for everybody if you're using the bathroom. But we all have to use the bathroom, I understand. But he take like 25 minutes. So I go into the bathroom to see what's up.
25
But
minutes?
yeah, but lo and behold, there's no doubt about it. This dude is shitting. Like, like he's shitting. Like it's not. He's not faking it. But the thing that bothered me, I'm just thinking, like, you know, what are you doing to your body that you need 30 minutes to decompose out while you're in the middle of a work shift?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
how are you treating your body that you can't come to work prepared? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Okay, maybe you ate some bad clams. Whoops.
Be more than bad
You
clams for
know,
25 minutes.
but if that's the case, like, you know, you need to tell me, like, I think I need to go home.
I would say he needs to go to the hospital. That would be
But he's 25
okay.
minutes and he's diarrhea in there,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why I was almost like ready to give him the ride home, because I was in a way kind of like looking for it to happen, a problem, so I could just be like, "Yo, you're fired." Like, I already don't like you for your irritable
Yeah.
vow,
Yeah.
you know. But
That could be something
it's
more than that, though. You know, you
I mean,
honestly, if it's like that,
maybe
he should have went to the hospital or something like that. You know, because
maybe he genuinely has a condition. In which case, I mean, I work with people who have conditions like that. I understand that, you know, some people have problems. I have my issues too. But like, I knew nothing about it, and I was his manager. He never told me nothing about it.
that's hard too with the manager position. Um, yeah, Quint, you're asking, do you think it's good for someone to make you feel better? Oh wait, you feel there is a major, oh, feel there's a major porn problem with the people
Oh,
like
for sure.
today, and it will have a major consequence in humanity's future. It's like 80% elephant in the room. Yeah, it's always been like that. Uh, that's just something we. That's just something we always. That's another addiction too. And I
Oh,
and
for sure.
I can see the way they have the whole gender thing.
And it's an
It's a
addiction on both
huge
sides,
sex
not just for
addiction,
men, but for women.
and people will say, "Oh, Christianity doesn't like it." You look at Indian or India
Because
with their religion, and you
that's
look at their like Buddhists and stuff, and they'll say the same thing. Christians will say, "It too much sex. Too much sex leads to vast quantities of laziness, vast quantities of doing nothing, being focused on it, and you go nowhere." It just is the way it is, you know. Um, yeah, there, you know, that definitely is, and you know the way things were when we were younger compared to how they are now. It's so easy to get it, you know, with the internet versus how it used to be. You know, going to a store or buy a magazine or
how would you know?
you know, I'm just saying it just is. You know, and the fact is like the more and here's the thing, people want to say
It's
just
not.
let people
It's
do whatever they want with that. You just let them do whatever they want, and then you have all the sexual
it's not just
objectification
that it's not just that
everywhere.
it's easier, but
It's
it's more
not,
boisterous. It's
and it
more it's manipulative, just like every other TV show.
yeah, and then it's not
It's more oh, you know,
there's nothing sacred
based
about
on
it
the
anymore. It's just
based on the algorithms, we know people like this and this and this, and so
hmm.
guess what we can do? We can give you this, and you know, it's becoming more and more.
It's the same
You know
thing
what I
I
mean?
say with video games. What the way they try to make video
There's,
games now is it give they in some video games they give you everything. And as
it's
soon as
not
you
even
get
going to be.
everything in a
I'm
video
saying
game,
it's
you're
not.
done with it. You're done. It's over. So there's just no point giving everybody everything in a video game because then a video game sucks because there's no challenge to it. It's kind of how life is too. You throw all the porn at a person and then you have no reason or need to be with another person because you've already got what you got. You got what you need in that particular fashion. And then you don't you that I think honestly this is maybe strategic to try to break families up. It's trying to keep people away from making a family dynamic to the point that it all falls apart. And I almost wonder if it's done maliciously. You know, I know that's always been like there's always been an industry to push it somewhat, but the how heavy it is insane. We don't there's almost no break in a day from you know I talk to people, dude, and there's some people that are so heavily steeped into it that they don't really know anything else is going on. They're so it's gross, you know.
Yeah, I've seen someone like that.
And you talk to some of these guys, and it's It's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm just like, are you that disgusting that I can't even have a normal conversation with you? Like I can make adult jokes with some people and just joke around sometimes, and do that. But when certain people they can't even have like, I don't know. I don't know. It's been pushed very hard. I don't know. Go ahead, Brad. I gotta get a
I
beer.
don't know. I just feel bad for like, because there's just nothing. Regardless of the porn, it's just, I don't know. I just feel bad for all the like victims of all of it anymore. It's like kids with no lives that for some reason they want to
Oh,
put themselves into that world.
Brad, I just want to make a quote from The Crow. Victims, aren't we all?
But that's but it's true though. We are all victims. None of us are really
Yeah.
of like this. What I get, like, why we're not supposed to judge others, because like, we're not better. We're not better.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all short.
Yeah.
And this idea that like, oh, because you've got different circumstances than me or something happened, I mean, it's because you see some people and they look like shit, and it's like, what happened to you? Somehow they did something and they got on. It's usually bad habits or something like that, but I mean, you get people who like they shake if they don't get their alcohol and stuff like that. It's like,
I know. And I've seen it. With. I haven't really seen it too many with alcohol, but I've seen it with smokers a lot.
I just feel bad.
Quentin was saying I have to watch The Crow again. It's not a kids movie, but I did like it. When I was younger. I still like it now. But yeah, the population control and by design and stuff. Yeah, it's a part of that. It's. I don't think we're at the end. And honestly, we were talking about this before. I don't think there is an end, honestly. I think it's just different cycles of life. We're going into the Aquarian Age from the Piscean Age. And I think the Piscean Age was heavily, heavily controlled. And with the amount of things we have, I think we're nearing the end. Because you have everything when it comes to any kind of 7 deadly sin you can think of now. You have any of them.
I said, money,
any and all of them. You
ability,
have all of them now. We're at the breaking point of...
all you need is money. Money has the ability to get you what you want. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's sad. Doesn't matter what it is. If you wanted some baby, dude, enough money and you can get that.
I know. He's asking us what are our favorite movies, man. What's your favorite movie? Or one of your favorite movies?
My favorite movie. I was just talking about this. Well, besides like Dumb and Dumber or
okay, comedy. Dumb and Dumber is in the top for me.
No, those Billy Madison. I like Billy Madison.
Billy Madison's pretty good too. Yeah, I like the Chris Farley movies though. I grew up with the Ernest P. Worrell, so those are really good quality younger movies.
I don't really watch a lot of movies though anymore.
I don't much myself. The thing is that the thing that we both like. What's our favorite thing that we both like that we talk about all the time?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. You jerk. He says the jerk. We're talking about Cowboy Bebop. That's a really good.
Well, Cowboy Bebop's not a movie. That's an anime.
They did make a movie with it.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, that one's really good too.
An animated movie.
One of my favorites is The Last Man Standing.
I do like Last Man Standing. I like Catch Me If You Can.
That's good too. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't necessarily like Leonardo DiCaprio or what's his name? Tom Hanks. But
Yeah.
boy, can they act.
Yeah. Yeah, they can. I like a lot of movies, really. You know, I usually like to go see them at the theaters, but lately, I only
Like
go
the
to
Truman Show.
I only go to the theater every
Like
three
Grandma's Boy,
three
too.
weeks now. Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
You know what movie I liked when I was younger that was kind of similar to that? Throw Mama from the Train. I don't know if you ever saw
I like
it.
Airplane.
Airplane is good. Airplane's hilarious.
I like the Naked Gun series.
Those are really good. You know what's another one? That's a Steve Martin film that I think is really good.
Planes, Trades, and Automobiles.
That one is really good too, but I was going to say Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Did you ever see Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
I did not.
Oh, you have to see that. You got to see that. It's so good. I think it's
Like
just
Uncle Buck.
I think it's just Last Man Standing. I don't think it's The Last Man. It's with Bruce Willis.
No, Heavyweights with Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis is great.
Yeah. It's two mob gangsters against each other, and Bruce Willis is an in-between guy.
With Ben Stiller.
Heavyweights.
Ben Stiller runs an overweight camp for kids.
I never saw
And
that.
he turns it into like a prison. 20-mile nature runs.
20
No
miles.
breakfast will be served.
You know what's funny? I kind of
Really?
did it with my kid at one point when she wasn't used to going for hikes and stuff, and I took her on this little nature walk, but it was like a 2-mile walk, and I wasn't thinking about it because I'm used to doing it all the time. And she's like 8, and she's like, I can go anywhere, I can do anything. I'm like, okay, come with me. And after like a little while, she's like, Dad, it's so hard. I'm like, fine, I'll carry you. Jeez, I thought you could handle this. And she was just
I usually have to carry my daughter towards the end of the runs.
Yeah.
And my son.
I think she just wanted to get carried, but yeah, it was, I don't know. Heavyweights is hilarious, he says. Let's show us classics. There are some that do that. Last year, I went to see...
I'm too strong. I'm too motivated. Just throwing glass on the floor, just walking on it. It's like, ow. Ben Stiller played a perfect psycho in that movie, dude. They would ban that movie nowadays. Nowadays, if that movie came out in theaters, everyone would be like, they try to like hide that movie under the radar as much as they can.
Oh,
dude, at one
yeah.
point in time,
They definitely
at one
would.
point in time, they captured Ben Stiller and they were just feeding him potatoes, and he took the tinfoil from potatoes, turned it into a Hershey Kiss shape, and then lured one of the kids over to it. He goes, "I got a kiss for you," and then got that kid into the cage, got out.
Oh, man. They did that with Chrono Trigger. I got Chrono Trigger on Steam versus playing the game Chrono Trigger long ago, and they changed that with the whole robot thing. They're talking about genders and stuff. I'm like, dude, it's a fucking robot. What are you talking about? I don't know. They did that. They change everything, the verbiage and everything now with the games that are literally just the same. They'll change the wording to it to try to like make it how you'd hear it now, or how people might want to say it now. And I'm thinking, I don't know why they do that. That's the same thing we were talking about with the Dumb and Dumber, the new Dumb and Dumber. You said you didn't like it as much. I thought it was just kind of as funny as the old one, but not
I mean,
the same.
you can't compare. You can't compare with the classic though. The classic just was, I don't know, on point.
Yeah.
It's just a good story. It's a good story too. That's what makes it,
10 in the morning.
Everything else after that.
I just thought she was a raging alcoholic. We landed on the moon.
After the little boy was sold a dead bird. She goes, I just thought he was really quiet. She goes, who are these people?
Who are these
Ding
sick
dong.
people? Ding dong.
I have your briefcase. Harry, I have to go.
These are IOUs.
Okay.
Everything's accounted for. 125,000. You
And
might want to hang on to that one.
Saying, who are these sick people? And they're literally like in her house at the time. So you're saying there's a chance?
What are the chances of a boy like you and a girl like me ending up together? About a 1 in a million.
Yeah,
So
we could
you're
just go over all
telling
the
me
Jim
there's a
Carrey
chance.
quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the case, then you could also go to the Ace Ventura series. Like all
Our
those
pets' heads are falling off. Harry, I took care of it. Sweet Petey. Sweet Petey. It's duct taped on there.
Just when I think you couldn't have gotten any dumber, you go and do something like this. And
Totally,
totally
redeemed
redeemed yourself.
Nice set of Hooters you got there. The Owls.
The Owls. Put us down for 2 in case we won second.
This is such a classic movie. I've seen it probably 50 times. I watched it at least once a year, and sometimes more if I had a friend. And then I would just memorize Jim Carrey's lines, and he would memorize Jeff Daniels' lines. And it just go over it all the time, you know. Worm farms. Worm farms. What?
Dear gas man.
Gas man.
You had gas.
You know you have gas. These guys must be professionals.
Pills are good.
I don't know, Harry.
No,
one minute you're chewing on the burger, and the next minute you're dead meat. Forgive my friend. He's a little slow. The town is back that way. We need 2 young men to oil us up before every competition.
Doing a little bit of boozing. What this? Oh no, officer, that's not me. Don't be a smart ass. Give me the bottle.
You pumpkin pie haircutted freak. Killer boots, man. Yeah, nice cardigan. Thanks for noticing. And he drinks the bottle of piss. You guys,
get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here. Oh man, it's such a good movie. You know, that is probably the one classic movie I think almost everybody can like from, you know, when we were kids. I don't know. Like Jim Carrey, that was his best performance. Now people will say The Mask, and that's because he did a lot of stuff with his mouth. But honestly, just the teamship that he did with Dumb and Dumber was
his best performance was in the
sublime,
Truman Show.
Dude. Well, Truman Show for like a really good. This kind of feels like life.
Was the first.
That's honestly the best. But comedy wise, I think comedy wise is Dumb and Dumber.
But the way that Jim Carrey would genuinely make you feel like you were him in the movie, like it could he be me? He really had that ability to like disappear and let you put yourself into his image.
I know,
even though he did goofy stuff.
Dude, it's spooky too because even other people would say he did a better Andy Kaufman than Andy Kaufman. How the hell is that possible? You can't be a better me than somebody else. Somebody else can't be a better you than you. Other people would say he's a better Andy Kaufman than Andy Kaufman. That's almost virtually impossible. That just shows you like how good of an actor he was, you know?
He's retired now, as he'll never be the Sonic, the Egghead again. Or did he say he was gonna? He said he would do another one of those or something. I think he said, but
I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, but yeah, you know, you get to a certain age. Like Bruce Willis, he got some kind of. I don't know if it's a disease or
I heard about that. Yeah.
Something, and he can't really talk very.
Die Hard. How could I not mention Die Hard 3 with a Vengeance?
Yeah.
Or Die Hard.
Die Hards, all the Die Hards. I liked all of them actually.
I still think 3 was the best one though.
Okay, number 2. I'm
Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, Die Hard 3 was the best. Really was. Eternal Sunshine was his best role. Eternal Sunshine with Jim Carrey. I never actually saw that. I'm sorry to say.
I don't think I've ever seen that
never saw
either.
that.
I've heard of it.
I'll
but
have
I've
to
never
look
seen
at.
it.
I'll have to watch it then if it's that good. Yeah, but I see a lot of movies, but there's definitely classics I have not yet seen. Like I have not. I
like the
never
movie
watched the
Basic.
whole Godfather
John
series.
Travolta.
I
Really?
watched Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is still one of my favorites, but
Yeah, I like Pulp Fiction.
you
Pulp
know,
Fiction is one of my favorites.
but there's a lot of
So
classics I
many
have yet to
movies.
see. I have seen Casablanca. So I don't know if you ever saw that, Brad, but I did see
Oh,
Casablanca.
speaking of which, we called it. We totally called it. The Castlevania series coming out. It looks like they're going to be doing a
Richter.
whole nother area. Yeah, they're going to be doing
Richter.
a whole nother area.
They have
now.
to do
I'm
Richter because
super pumped up.
you know my friend talked about Richter so much. I'm like, dude, it's just a guy in a blue suit. You know, actually, no. I played a little more of him and I got to know him, and I was like, whoa. You know, he's okay.
I'm not. Well, I don't. Are they doing Richter? Do you know that for sure? I didn't
He's a
watch any
guy.
previews.
He's a guy in blue, and he turns around, and he looks away, really cool. You
But
know, and that's
But
Richter.
I'm saying, are you sure that the new one's about it? It just they called it a new name, like a different title type style, like a season.
I know
you know
because
what I mean?
they have to. Was it Travis?
But it was like
Travis was
yeah, it
like
was
Travis is the second.
Travis was before.
Travis is second
But
one, but my favorite was the Lament of the Innocents because that's the first one, and that's Leon. Leon is the first vampire
Leon.
hunter, and the soundtrack and playing the game was probably my favorite. And the end boss is not a vampire; it's death, I would imagine it should be. That's the last boss, and it's one of the hardest fights to do on the PlayStation disc because of how they have the camera angle and all that. But I'm just saying, Leon and all that, they showed a picture of that when Travis was in the Leon castle initially. I kind of hope they'll go back in time again and play Leon. I think that would be... I honestly, I think Leon would be the best Belmont.
Well, I don't know. I'm not
to-
sure what's going
to
to happen
watch.
in this next one.
But
they created
Richter will be really cool, you know?
They created a whole war that last time. That's what I'm saying. Like it got really crazy.
Mm-hmm. You know, another
And-
thing I want to talk about. What do you think about that? Do you think any of that was true at any point in time? Vampire hunting, fighting werewolves, ghosts. Do you think that at some point they went extinct, or that was a reality at one point in some civilization, or were just imaginations? You know, because I wonder. Like we talk about like this, and we'd never seen this, but when Jesus was alive, he did all these miracles. And then after that, nothing. So, all these
I think there's
ancient gods and all these whatever and all these fantastical things that happened long ago. Jesus comes along, does a few things, and boom, nothing anymore ever again.
I think that there's immortals that roam around and stuff like that. And
Like Saint Germain?
I think that. Well, I mean they're the vampires. That they need a different either they need a different source of way to stay alive, but they don't really die. They're not really in the same.
Maybe
don't
they're
know,
not
you know.
vampires. Maybe they just have a certain tincture they drink. You know, tincture.
Well, either
And then or potion
or.
or something. I don't know, but maybe who knows?
Either or. I also believe that golems can be created. So
maybe
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's
there's a lot of
fascinating. All
golems
this
in the
stuff that
world.
we've heard about, we learned about, and it's like it's all myth, it's all lore. But we believe in Jesus' miracles. It's either he had the miracles, or it's you know, with passing out the bread, it just broke up some loaves of bread and they shared, and they learned to share. And you know, being at the wedding, turning the water into wine. Maybe just his company was enough to become family enough that it was wine. I don't know. I want to say that they were real, but then we look at like what happened with Jesus' time, and then everything before that was fighting giants and all these mythical things that people say didn't happen and blah blah blah. But then after that, there's nothing. There's no miracles, there's no magic, there's no nothing. Jesus came, and when he died, everything else died. All the magic died, everything's gone. You ever notice that? I mean, you might say, well, Thor and stuff like that, but I wonder if
Yeah, but all
sometimes,
that stuff was a long time before.
yeah, I just
That
wonder,
stuff was
like,
all long before.
with all these magical things that are happening, it's like, why, when Jesus came, almost everything mythical, magical, or anything that could happen was magic, it's gone.
Because the Dark Ages and the Great Library, Alexandria burning, and everybody keeping us in the dark at that point in time, and alchemy being labeled as a sin by the church, and just became like taboo. Somewhere along the lines, the world's.
But I'm not talking about taboo. I'm talking about what they said was magical and real. With Jesus doing the things that he did, that's kind of like ethereal, you know? That's not something I can do right now. I can't just snap my fingers and boom, you know, I become a giant immediately. Well, I can. Good. I can say I can. I can turn into a giant.
If you had Jesus within you enough.
Come on, man. It's not happening. Well, I mean, it is if I show the illusion of it, you know. You know. Did that work?
I'm pretty tired.
I know. Oh man, we've been going for a while. It's been a good chat though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was fun. Fun getting together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of talked about our point though a little bit. So we went a roundabout and we got to it, and then we went a roundabout, we got to it again, and then we went a roundabout.
I thought the point was to rant. You told me the point was to rant.
I did, didn't I? But I brought us back to the point. I found a way to steer the ship to the point that we got back to the point. So it's like we're flying in an air show, you know, and you're going loop diddy loop diddy loop diddy loop, and then I'm like, you know, and then flying through that, you know, circle we got to fly through, and then you fly all over the place, and you're almost crashing the ground, and you fly back up, and I fly us right back to the circle again. You know?
Yeah.
I got us back on track, man.
Taking us back off track.
And then I did that too. But then I got us back on track after we were about done. And I brought us back home. So I guess you can land the plane. How about that?
All right, well, thanks for watching. All right? Or is that what you mean?
Thanks for watching us. We are Aquarius.
I never landed the plane. Put the training wheels down.
We are Aquarius. You're not Aquarius, but you can be one.
Sounds so cultish.
I have to sound it that way, so, you know, people, it's a little enticing, you know.
Join us for $9.95 a day. Don't. That's just a joke. Unless you want to pay $9.95 a day, then yeah, you can join us.
Hey man, I'm glad you made me join that cult of yours. Yeah. Sorry if they made you kill your father. Well, you know what they say. It was the only way to save him.
He wasn't it.
What was the Adam Sandler line?
$9.95 a day. I got free Kool-Aid.
Free Kool-Aid for everybody. It's great flavored. No, we're kidding. Or are
great
we?
Flavored. Great flavored.
I've been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm too tired to know what you're talking about.
The Adam Sandler skit, you know? Where the one guy, he joins a cult, and he's like, oh, the beast can't come out because the sun's out and it hurts his eyes. Well, I don't care about the beast. Don't you remember that one skit that he did? Adam Sandler?
No,
You never?
no, I'm in a complete loss at this.
Wow. I'll have to send it to you. Or somebody can. All right. Okay, thanks everybody for coming by. And if you want to become an Aquarian,
Yeah, you just click that subscribe.
click that subscribe
That's
bell.
that's all you need to do.
That's all you got to do. Actually, you got to do more than that, but I will say you are anyway. So, good night,
It's like a 12-step program.
It's more than
Give you
12
the
steps.
details.
Well,
It's infinity steps.
yeah.